What's up, my
Yeah.
man?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. That's pretty fancy right there.
Well, like I was telling you, it vibrates, so my wife likes it. Pretty much likes
hopefully,
anything
sh-
around the house.
hopefully she'll never listen to the show.
Who's going to listen to the show?
Probably nobody. Yeah. So
What do you,
cheers, my
what?
man.
Yeah, what are you drinking there, Jason? It's good
Yeah.
to see
Let's.
you.
Good to see you, man. Because we're our movie slash theme from the Hitting It Sideways golf show is going to be sideways. We had to drink wine because
Absolutely.
I was close to like throwing some tequila out because that's pretty much all I've been drinking lately. Pretty light, but I am
Is that why you're
honored.
looking so svelte?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. I got a long ways to go, but yeah, I'm in honor of Giamatti in the Pinot speech. I've got a Pinot from Robert Sinsky Vineyards, which is a Napa for sure.
Yeah.
And the first time, my girl that I go shop with said you got to try this one because I drink a lot of cabs and a lot of other types of reds. But
I
what do
also
you
have
got?
a I also have a cab. I have a 2015 Corzine from Napa, a cab, and I was just finishing that one off because actually I usually don't have this guy.
Yeah, yeah,
That's when you know my wife hit the wine. And then the other thing, I got another cab, a 2016 from Rich Harvest Farms. So they had me out for their cocktail party. I teach half their membership and all that kind of stuff. So
cool.
every single guest gets a bottle of wine from the Rich Harvest Vineyard. So I thought that would be appropriate
Yeah,
because I'm not fucking drinking Merlot.
that's exact. I almost got a bottle of Merlot just because of that being great. Yeah, like that movie sent Merlot uh,
It's,
into the
yeah.
tank for real, and Pinot was on the rise. My other one that I brought was a new one too from Faust in Napa that is really good. So I
What?
use.
Wait. Like,
Go ahead.
how do you feel about Merlot?
I think there's some good Merlots out there. I think
I totally agree.
it was just the thing, right? If you do, as we've both done, sort of research on the show, one, Paul Giamatti knew nothing about wine in real life, and two, it was just part of the script, part of the book because it was from a book,
Right.
and sideways meant they were getting shit faced. It was basically what was
Which
the
is
meaning of
basically
it.
what we're doing,
Yeah,
Jason.
yeah, exactly. We're on our way now. This is our first glasses to the listeners out there, but
It's
yeah,
so great to hear your voice. Should we tell the people out that first before we get into the movie, before we get into the golf, before we get into my Chicago golf shirt here and how I played so bad there, I wanted to anally digest my driver. Before we do that,
yes,
uh, can we talk about like how many breakfast balls it took for us to get on air?
yeah, yeah. Tell them
So
it's a shit show.
so for a while, I've been hearing from my friends that their favorite podcast that I ever done, and I've done a few, was yours, and it was the second one,
Right.
and that
Well,
and that's the one I didn't put on my website, and I and I go, why do you like that one? And he goes, well, you guys one are obviously great friends, which we could tell the story of how we met, like when Harry met Sally,
yeah, sure.
when Jason met Jake, and then the other thing is everyone remarked that it felt like hanging out with us because we were obviously overserved. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That was, and I put that out for those that haven't caught up with the podcast as an archive in the last 3 or 4 months, where I've been not on sabbatical. I'm still doing my thing, busy with other things that we can kind of talk about
yeah,
other than teaching. But I started putting together some of my favorite sort of moments of the pod. And that first hour that we did that, which was basically me and you on the couch drinking wine. We had several drinks prior to that and dinner and everything else. I thought
you'll
it
have
was.
that.
I mean, to me, I thought it was some of the best. I think
Eh,
sort of deep, just awesome conversation because it was just real, like the guy was saying, it was raw. And so this is how this show sort of came about, right? It's like this. We wanted to do a spinoff, sort of segue from the Golf Guru show, but if anybody listens to Tim Ferriss, I'll give him a little bit of credit. But him and his friend Kevin Rose do a random show, right, where they get together once every 6 months or so, and they just kind of catch up on different topics and things that they're doing in their lives, and then just shoot the shit. So that's kind of how it came about. But continue and tell like the struggles technically that we've had in the last week.
I just came up with the fact that I think anytime anyone sees me or yourself take a sip, if they are watching this, they need to take a sip.
Yeah.
And then it gets a hell of a lot more fucking funny.
Yeah.
So my buddies, especially from college, who are my closest friends, I'm always the little person in the pictures with them, wearing flamingos and cigars and all that, because they were all college basketball players. But anyways, they go, how in the world, with everyone having a podcast, do you not have a podcast? To me, like personally,
Yeah.
and then they reference yours. And the reason they say that, and I don't know if I told you this, and if
I think you did.
if I've told you this, I don't think I told you this on the pod.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
The reason they say that is because I had a college radio show when I was there, and it was entitled "Where the High School Girls Hang Out," and so
That's original.
Yeah, and that was it's a line from Swingers, where Vince Vaughn is drunk and making an ass out of himself, which I'm guilty of from time to time, and he pretends he's getting kicked on her table. He goes, "Oh, fine. You want me to ask her? I'll ask her, ma'am, where the high school girls hang out around here."
Was it the diner scene?
It's the diner scene where he gets on top and he's like, and I don't mean to turn and I don't mean to turn this into it, because we're going to talk more Sideways today, but I did write down in my notes of how much, upon viewing Sideways again more extensively, how much it actually reminds me of Mikey and Trent, Miles and Jack. But anyways, going with the initial thing. So things have changed since I went to college and had a radio show, namely this little microphone right here, right?
Yeah.
This looks like something from
for you for Christmas.
Thank you for that. And I'm also wearing the underwear you got me.
Yeah,
so I'm just kidding. I don't wear underwear. So anyways, so I went through, I have a laptop that's probably Stone Age compared to what you're rocking in there behind you and all that kind of stuff. So I went through every setting, every Google. We spent 2 hours last week trying to figure it out. And right here, Jason.
Yeah. This
was turned up so loud that all I could do is hear myself, which is exactly how my wife says I argue. So if I just turned it down a little bit, it was picking up every freaking sound in the house except you speaking. Right. And that's all it was. That's all it was.
Yeah. So we spent 2 hours of me just like miming him, trying to figure out why the first time ever that my guest can't hear me.
How many fucking swing coaches does it take to figure out a microphone? Okay.
That's unbelievable.
Jeez.
Oh gosh. So you want to start with your life stuff, like what you've been up to?
Sure.
Got any topics? I mean, we can kind of.
Well, I did tease anally digesting my driver.
Oh, so you're.
Yeah, I was gonna feed my ass my driver. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. So again, it's topical. I'm wearing the hoodie here. So I played Chicago golf. One of the hardest. You would think a kid from Chicago can get on at Chicago golf whenever he wants, and it's notoriously one of the hardest courses to get on. I have had the good fortune of playing it multiple times. Streelman used to be a caddy out there. I was a caddy at Butler. He was a caddy at Chicago Golf. We're no dummies, right? And we figured out on Mondays how to play when no one's looking, right? So anyways, it's been a while. I don't think I played there in 15 years. And this will lead to my question of you, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure I know, right? So anyways, I heard one of my kids that you see is doing so well in Division III. He was like third in the country and all that. He goes, I'm playing, it's Saturday. He goes, I'm playing Chicago Golf. And we're out at Ruffled and I'm looking at his swing. I go, that's that's like holy ground out there. That's a special place. I go, enjoy it. I go, anytime I play it, I don't know if that's the last time I play it. And he goes, oh, cool. You have any advice for me? And I'm like, well, you're gonna putt off one green. He goes, number one green? I go, yeah, actually, you could putt off that one. I putt right into the front bunker,
but at
right in
least
front of the
one.
head professional. I go, but at least one hole, you're going to putt off the green. That's just the way it is.
Hmm.
And so, anyways, we got talking. He's a hell of a stick. He's got, he can get it up to 134 miles an hour club head speed and just beats the shit out of the ball like all these kids do nowadays. Yeah. I mean, I was told to massage the ball around the course, and boy, did I fucking listen. So, anyways, it came as a text message about 9 hours ahead of that tee time going, one of our people bailed out. Do you want to play?
Ooh.
I mean, this is like Margot Robbie in a tub, right? So I'm sitting there going,
what do you got that day? Like you got lessons all day, or what was?
I got lessons all day.
Yeah.
That is not the concern here.
It's kind of like getting the Augusta call, right?
Right.
It's like you shut it down. Like you're gonna, it's an easy email to send, easy text message to send. Hey, I'm gonna
half my clients that I said, hey, I'm going out to Chicago golf were like, totally get it, have fun, best place on earth.
Yeah.
That wasn't the dilemma. The dilemma was that I hadn't played golf in 2.5 months, and outside of maybe like a pitching wedge and sand wedges on par 3 courses with my kids, and now I'm gonna go play, and I'm sitting there going. And it's windier and shit. It's always windier and shit out of Chicago. And I'm sitting there going, fuck it. I could shoot 90 anywhere. I might as well do it there. So I go out, and one of my favorite things to do is when I occasionally do. Here's the only ways to get me on the golf course is you got to take me to a top 100 golf course, or I'm playing par 3s with my boys, or I'm drunk in a flamingo shirt with my college buddies. That's the only ways. Otherwise, actually, the answer is no. I don't miss it a lot. So, yeah. So I say sure, and I mean, I proceed to go bunker to bunker on the first hole. That was good. Plugged both times. How do you double plug? I mean, that sounds like something you can Google, but it was awful. But the best I did was in the pro shop when I took home like a shit ton of merchandise again, because I'm sitting there going, I never know when I'm about to show up. So here's my question for you. And again, I'm sure like this kid and his dad is like, why the fuck do we take that kid to him? I mean, look how bad he hit it. Right. So my question to you is, Jason, do you still love golf? Playing your golf game, not teaching, not being around, not what your kid's doing, your golf game. Do you love it?
No.
Me neither.
I don't. Yeah, and it's weird to hear from your students. I told this to a student the other day during a lesson, or we were riding like from my building to the short game area or something like that, and he's like, "Do you ever get to play?" And it's like that's not the question.
Yeah.
It's not, do you ever get to play? I could play every day. I'd go broke, right? I mean, it costs a lot of money for me to play golf because that's 4 or 5 hours for me to not teach. But that's not really it. It's just I'm so competitive. Like when I was an assistant and then a head pro, and even at the beginning of my teaching career, I could still play pretty good, and I could still play really good for a guy that never practices. But it just doesn't like get me going as the way it used to. I need like something to play in, right? Like I'll play in a couple of our member tournaments. We have a couple of things that the pros will play in, and if I know I'm going to play in that, I'll hit a few balls or whatever and kind of get going. But just to go play golf, like I just don't get jazzed up about it.
You play with your boy?
Yeah, that's the only time. Yeah, before he moved, when he turned pro and moved to Nashville, and I don't see him as much. I'll go play with him and grab a couple of members or a couple of tour guys or whatever and go play. Because then I'm playing against him. And it's kind of fun, but it's just spending time with him which is really precious at this point. And,
so
with your
growing up. Out of college, 1,000 years ago, I would have I would have told you that I got no time for these scrambles that everybody plays. And by the way, usually when it is scramble season, the cart covers are coming out, the propane heaters, and I go,
Yeah.
gosh, that right there, your golf cart right there tells me how much I don't want to play today, right?
Yeah.
So and then my buddies again are all former college athletes, again, 6'8", 6'7", all college basketball players, some college baseball players. They are now so into fucking golf.
Mhm.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And they're so furious that they're not better at this because they probably came from small towns where they were the best at everything, three
Yeah.
sport athletes, all that. And they are so frustrated that they're not better at this. And yet this is
Yeah.
all they want to do with their life. So they're like, well, there's these pro-am scrambles. Like, why don't you be our pro? And I'm sitting there going, guys, if you'd like to win, you got to do a hell of a lot better than me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't care. We don't care. Now the funniest thing is this, I do mean this. This is like a full-time gig for some people. Like I played in this thing at Sandy Pines just the past week, and I go there and one of my Corn Ferry guys is in the field and one of my long drive guys is in the field. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm just welled up with confidence right now.
Yeah.
So
So what's the let me interrupt you. What is
Go.
the indoor thing that I keep seeing you posting about of your like team? Like what's that
Oh,
deal? Like
shit.
you're hitting balls into a simulator apparently a lot. I see that shit on Instagram all the time.
I would rather go bowling, but not these guys. So my kids train the USA junior team. They train indoors at X Golf Downers Grove in the winter.
Mhm.
And they have league nights there and everything, and we're already there. Like we're filing the kids out. We're usually having a drink afterwards and stuff. And they're like, "Well, you should play." And I'm like, "Well, I'm a pro. I don't want to freaking hear about it." I go, "I'm
Yeah.
not much of a pro," and I'm looking at the ball speeds in here, and I'm like, "You guys shouldn't be worried about me." I mean, hell, a simulator golf league takes away the one thing I can do, chip and putt, right? So so my buddies see this and they're like, and it's the guys that I'm always with. And,
Yeah.
and I will tell you the team, CKLMC, which stands for Captain Kevin Landek Memorial Cup. So
Okay.
anytime we get together, so that's what that is. But you are not Streelman's brutal when he sees, oh, you win your little scramble indoor golf league.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's actually kind of funny. It's 9 holes, it's a 3-man, and it's a scramble, and you got to use everybody's tee shot once, and
Mhm.
you got to get it inside 4 feet. So the funniest thing is, I thought I would hate that too, but amazingly, fireball shots after the second hole do a lot to help you enjoy it.
Sure.
And then actually staying loose during the winter. I always get invited on this, like right around my birthday. I have this client who actually just texted me. I saw that, Greg, who invites me to Shadow Creek, and he started. It's around the Super Bowl, but they've started calling it like my birthday, like it's my birthday golf trip. So February, the last time I probably seen a ball outside is usually October or September, but hitting balls into a screen in the middle of winter in Chicago actually helps. It actually,
Yeah.
I wasn't that fucking bad when I went to
Right.
Shadow, and it's just, have you been to Shadow Creek?
No, I would love to go.
Oh,
I mean,
dude,
for a lot of reasons.
Dude.
The casinos, the whole. I
Dude.
know how they treat the clients. Give you the shuttle wherever you want to go. Like I would probably never come home.
my
I have a
caddy.
problem.
Well, so hopefully your wife's not listening to this.
Yeah, she doesn't. She would never listen to this.
No, why? This is pointless. So my caddy was named Johnny Utah.
Nice.
So we're getting into from Point Break. He's named Johnny
Yeah.
Utah, who apparently
Perfect.
has all the good weed. I did not know that. So they walk around with these boom boxes. I mean, and you're out there in in the middle of the freaking desert, which you don't feel like you're in the desert because of the design. They moved a ton of freaking dirt, but yet it feels very natural. It's a top 100 golf course, and what they say is there is no at Shadow. So if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. There's no
I've heard.
parking lot. You can only come up in a limo. Every president that's still alive's got a locker in there and all that. And actually, I know you. So if the wives are listening, I know they're thinking, hookers and blow, but it's actually these. It's actually these, and away we go. It's actually these sweet older ladies that work there. One is named Rita, who has a margarita named after her, and there's another lady in the show, like these very sweet older women who just roll their eyes at you, because I'm sure it's just debauchery consistently in
Yeah.
there. And
Oh
then
yeah.
last time I was there, you're a country music guy, aren't you?
I am now with my wife.
You kind
My
of have
son
to
lives in
be.
Nashville. I mean,
Yeah.
So I'm indoctrinated. So
Oh
I'm getting into it.
God.
Why's
Uh,
that?
well, so I didn't know who this was. So it can't be a name drop if I have no idea who the fuck this is.
Hmm.
Okay. So I still don't. I'm going to say it's Luke Bryant, but I'm probably wrong. That's probably a tour player from 1984. Who's the guy on American Idol that was a
That's Luke
judge?
Bryan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luke Bryant. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
he was sitting at the bar and there is no at Shadow. Okay.
Yeah.
I at no point did I not have a Tito's in my hand, even when it would like go away
It would
and
still
then it would be there
would
again
appear. Yeah.
every time.
Nice.
So I felt good. And I don't know. I saw some guy there and I was just like, and I like, hey, did you play today? And he goes, yeah. And I go, this is my third or fourth time. I go, this place is unbelievable. And he's like, yeah, I'm just a redneck. He goes, this is way too nice for me. And we just talked the whole time. So I get back to the limo and the guys go, oh, you enjoying your best friend over there, Luke Bryant? And I'm like, who the hell is Luke Bryant? And he goes, the guy you were
Brian.
talking to, or Brian. Okay, see?
Not even. I don't think there's a T on the end of it.
I could have been talking to Bart Bryant. Okay. I could have been talking to Dr. Dirt. I don't know. Could have been J. Don Blake. I have no idea. So Luke Bryan.
I'm pretty sure it's Brian. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure
I'm not an expert in country music, but I think that's what it is.
I'm sure he's sure. So they're like, yeah, you're talking to your best friend over there at Luke Bryan.
Yeah.
And I go, who the hell? I go, who's Luke Bryan? And they go, oh, he's a country singer. I'm like, I go, that's why I have no fucking idea. I go, because that's where the talentless go to sing. So they're like, well, he's also a judge on American Idol. And I go, with Simon Cowell? And they're like, dude, Simon Cowell hasn't been on American Idol in like 15 years.
Yeah,
so I'm like, yeah. Oh, he took his place. Okay, so there you go.
I think, I mean, he's like, it's Katy Perry and.
Anyways, I know there's a lot of country fans out there, and I will say this. Luke Bryan did not feel the need to tell me he was Luke Bryan at any point. So you know what? Great dude. Awesome. Yeah. Loves golf.
That's so cool.
It did not want to be made a big deal of, and he probably enjoyed my drunk ass not knowing who the hell he was.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, if he's not like a fanboy, then he was probably cool.
Yeah, about as far from I like a Garth Brooks song, but I think that's the one everyone likes at the wedding, right? Yeah. Friends in Low Places. Like, other than that,
I've started to get into it, man. It's like, again, I'm like, I'm hearing, like not 24/7 when I'm around my kids or my son and my wife, but and again, now he lives in Nashville. I mean, he's all up in the middle of it. I mean, there's a new guy that's kind of coming out called George Burge. He's really, really good. We actually went and saw him in Charleston.
George Burge.
Burge, yeah. He's an up-and-coming superstar. He actually toured with Luke Bryan this summer and a couple other guys, but he's buddies with him. He's buddies with a couple other guys over there that, Old Hickory. Have you ever heard of that place in Nashville? It's like a high-end place that, like, John Daly's a member and a bunch of
the golf course. Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
He played there and he's trying to get out there to practice. But
so I can go one country guy who I am then told, well, he's not really country. So because I've been to at the Waste Management, I've been to Dierks Bentley, and he's the drunk on a plane guy. I learned that night. because that's, he headed up, and I was like, that's kind of catchy. And then Brantley Gilbert, but and I couldn't tell you a song he sings, but I took a picture with him and then I posted it. You're gonna have to go way way back on Instagram, but I go, is this a big deal? I'm like, because I don't know who this is, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and then
I
everybody's
don't even
just
know who that is.
okay, good, good.
Yeah. I mean,
So the
I just know
guy
the main guys.
so the guy I played golf with at Chicago Golf, and actually that day I looked like I had swung a club in my life. Was Colt Ford. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, absolutely.
And because he does a little rap and country
Yeah.
kind of or
He
something.
actually played. Did he play golf at Texas in
He
college?
played at Georgia.
Oh, Georgia. Okay, I knew he played in college. He's still a pretty good player. Like at scratch.
Wish I would have known that when he asked me to play for something that day.
Yeah, he can play.
I told John Guyton, the head pro at Chicago Golf, who actually so he's and he's skinnier now, but he was like
He was a big
400
boy.
damn pounds, right?
Yeah.
And he was wearing cargo shorts, and you don't do that at Chicago Golf. So he's like, oh my God, we got to change his shorts, but how are we going to find shorts that fit a 350 pound man who's only 5'7", right? So Guyton's sitting there going like this. I'm sitting there. He goes, hey, you want to play for something? I'm like, sure, right? And he didn't look like
Fat
much.
Perez.
Yes, Fat Perez, right? So, dude, like I said, I played like I had played before, and shot 74, and this asshole shot 68 or 9 and cleaned my clock 3 different ways, but actually had me at the concert that night and Guyton. And yeah, it was a good time. But
That's cool.
Yeah, finding a 300-pound man something other than cargo. I mean, basically, he asked him. He goes, and it was so hot that day too. It was it's like he actually asked him, "Do you have rain gear with you?"
Oh my God!
You're like, you're gonna make him wear rain gear on a 94.
Yeah,
yeah, just to cover it up. So
yeah, shoot, I've seen just this year. I've seen Riley Green in Savannah. I've seen Hardy. Trying to think, and they were with a couple other kind of up and coming. Laney Wilson was with Hardy touring. So I mean, I've seen some pretty big country shows.
I'm just gonna keep nodding.
You don't
I'm
know.
Just gonna,
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, Riley Green's pretty strong.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good. Let me guess. Is one song about his tractor?
Yeah, I think maybe. About his truck, maybe.
Truck? How about his dog, Jason? Does he sing about his dog?
Probably does. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'd rather listen to that than anything by Nickelback. That's also a joke. Yeah. Though I'll tell you what. I'll pay Nickelback a compliment because they are like my little kicking post. But I do like the song, which, by the way, they all sound the same. So I have to base it off the title.
Yeah.
You look better with something in your mouth. That is my favorite Nickelback song.
Okay.
Not because I think it sounds just like Photograph or whatever the hell else. And it's just for the title. You look better with something in your mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Too much.
That should be on a Hallmark card.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what else is going on? What like in your professional life, personal life? I mean, we're gonna do a gig together. I've invited you to come down to the Carolinas and speak at the Fall Summit. I'm not sure it's a favor or an honor or it's a lot of work, but I'm the chairman now for the section teaching and coaching committee.
How long does that last? How long is
2 years?
You have to do it for 2 years.
Yeah, 2-year stint.
Like
I've
Ryder
been on
Cup.
the committee. Yeah, I've been on the committee since the beginning, but it's the first time I've actually been in charge.
So this is extra work for you without extra pay.
Correct. Yeah, this is all volunteer. Awesome. Yeah. Which is it's it's kind of selfless work, but I mean we enjoy doing it. It's and I will say going back to the golf thing, it's not that we don't love golf. I still love golf. I love watching great players play. I still watch it on TV. Just don't really particularly want to play golf, right? There's a difference. It's not that I don't want people to get the wrong idea that I love the game. I'm still curious and fascinated by everything that has to do with what we do as on a day-to-day basis. But it's like I just don't really care
I
to go
watched.
out and play.
I actually don't watch golf either. But I did watch the Utah Championship or the Black Desert
Yeah, well, your guy
Championship.
was in contention.
He was in contention,
Yeah,
so that's fun because it's like the crucible for a tour coach,
I
right?
wouldn't say it's
Is
fun.
yeah,
It is. It's just nerve-wracking, man. It's just gosh.
like
I think
everybody
about
knows this with the DraftKings and laying bets and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. It's that to another level.
Sure.
And I'm, yes, it financially impacts me, but at the same time, when you spend more time with an individual than you do your own spouse, especially with him,
Yeah.
there's the personal side
Yeah.
with him. So no amount of money would. Well, he better not be listening. Hey, by the way, he wanted to come on the show, and I told him no.
We talked about it. I said, "You want to bring Strills on?" He goes, "No, I'd spend enough time with that guy. I'm not bringing him on.
Exactly.
Maybe sometime."
Can I have one fucking thing in golf that has nothing to do with him? I was asked about him the other day, and I go, who's that? I don't know. Well, don't you coach him? I'm like, I don't know. I coach a lot of guys. So
What's he look like?
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's great, man. That's a big. I mean, that gets him into more fall events. I mean,
yep.
it's like my guy McGirt. I mean, they're still kind of fighting to hang in there and getting kind of pushed out with the new format and
Well, there it is. They should have their own podcast. These over 40 guys,
Yeah,
outside the top 50 in the world on the PGB team, bitching about how
oh, yeah.
this has transpired over the past few years. When they were, with the careers that they've had, they were good until everybody changed the rules as they went.
Yeah. Well, they're still
So
good. It's just
yeah,
there's only so many spots every week, and
right.
it's kind of frustrating. Yeah, I got guys on both ends. I got Will, and then I got Brian Campbell that just got his tour card off the Corn Ferry. It's going to play next year, so he's going to get probably more starts than some of my other guys. So
Right.
which is super exciting. But yeah, it's changing. I mean, I don't know if we want to go into too much of that, like get us in trouble, but there's a there's a lot going on behind the scenes, as you probably hear.
Yeah.
I hear that from my guys that people don't really know.
Kev's, and I'm sworn to secrecy, but Kev's,
Yeah.
it's pretty known that he's been on the players board and
That's
all
right.
that kind of stuff. Charlie Hoffman was last year and
Mhm.
stuff too. And I know the Seagull a little bit. I saw him out at TPI when I was out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's to be a fly on the wall there is regardless of what side you're on or where you're at with PGA Tour, with Live, with
Yeah.
older play, out with the old, in with the new, wherever you're at on it and stuff. It's just interesting to hear. Listen, everybody's commenting from their pocketbook, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's happening. Like, everybody is making decisions and making comments based on their pocketbook. Probably like the vote we're going to have in about 30 days for the country, right? I'm guessing most people are just going to vote with their pocketbook. So, that's and that's what's going on with PGA Tour players, Live players, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So, no, I kind of stay out of it. I've coached some Live guys too, and that some of that's died down. At first, I didn't kind of know what to make of it, and then I put it on a story, and this would be fun. I should show this guy took out a 3-page email in a text message to tell me essentially that I am a communist and a murderer. Well, I won't say his name on this, but
You're talking about your player.
a follower. Yeah.
Oh, a follower.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A follower.
Because you teach a Live player.
Yeah.
Who do you teach on Live?
And then, well, we won't talk about that right now. But
Okay.
so I posted a picture of my youngest son Ashton with Phil Mickelson, and all I put was just a couple of lefties, right? Because my youngest is a lefty, right?
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, did I get lit up by like 2 or 3 people that
wow.
I was anti-American, that I was supporting people responsible for 9/11. And I'm just sitting there going,
Come on.
that's my five. Well, he wasn't even 5 in that picture. I think he still had a binky in, so he was probably like 2 or 3 or something like that. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do, man? As Clint Eastwood said, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, right? So, and again, everybody's gonna just tell you from their perspective and their pocketbook.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what else is going on? What else you got?
Well, I was gonna ask you, how long you been? Is it Colton River? Is that how it's pronounced and everything like that?
Colleton River.
Colleton River, which actually again sounds like a country album. So, or at least a song on a country album. That I have not been down there. I guess I still won't be down there because I'm going to Pinehurst, right? So,
No,
how far a drive is that for you?
5.5 hours.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a shit drive. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, I had a crazy spring in a good way. When I was asked to speak at the Georgia Teaching Summit, I think it was like March maybe or something. Me and Cody did a thing down there in Tattersall. We had some really good speakers, and then we had our award show our section award show like shortly after that. And then I get asked to speak at the Sun Country Teaching Summit, which is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the guy called me and I was like, yeah, I'd be glad to do it. When is it? And he tells me the date, and it's the day after the award show, which is the day in between our award show and our basically big teaching summit and our merchandise show. So think about that. So I said, I don't want to say no because I would love to do it. And I said, if you can figure out how to get me from Greensboro on that, whatever it was, Sunday night from the awards, Monday morning, he's like, yeah, we'll fly you in. So I flew all over the place, 4 different connections to get to Albuquerque, did my 2 or 3 hours of speaking and got back on a plane at midnight, Albuquerque time, flew to, I think it was Scottsdale maybe or something. And then I flew to like Philly and then one more connection and then back to Greensboro the next morning. So I took the red eye and then went to our teaching summit, which was 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours, and then drove back that night.
What'd you talk about?
That was crazy. In my talk at the New Mexico thing?
Yeah.
Teaching elite players. So
okay.
I went through like all the stuff I did with like Brian and Will McGirt, and then like some of this, like all my 3 or 4 of my top juniors and college players or whatever, and then did some talked about short game stuff that I teach. Cool. So it's about a 2 or 3 hour talk, with a lot of pictures and stuff.
Where did you sit on the? I mean, I don't know what to call each side of the spectrum, so I'll just say Ridyard and Mayo, just to pull 2 names out. Well, like where did you sit? Where did you sit on that?
So that was actually one of my teaching topics that I had in my notes.
I had a feeling it might be.
Yeah. So Steve versus Shallow. No, it would be more like I would say Parker McLaughlin is on one side, and then Joe Mayo's on the other side as far as steep and shallow. Then I would say me and James Ridyard are kind of in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, and again, it depends, right? But I think I like the way Joe sort of makes the case with the math of impact and vertical swing plane and all the sort of the parameters that we talk about for, let's say, a stock little wedge shot around the green. So I would say I would probably favor, I wouldn't say I favor steep. I mean, I guess you got to define it, right? It's like what's steep, and like we can go deep into the technique stuff.
Yeah.
If you want, but I mean,
I just thought it was fascinating because I spoke at Open Forum last year,
I saw you.
and I thought it was that happened right after me. Like I get off speaking
Yeah.
with John Sinclair. I leave the stage. Sinclair stays, and Joe and everything comes up. So it happened immediately after.
Mm-hmm.
So I went off the stage and to the bar, and then double fisted came back in the
Yeah.
front row, and I'm just like, you know,
Yeah.
and I leaned to, and I can't, it could have been Chase Cooper. I can't remember exactly. Uh, Erica was there in all her glory, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember leaning to whoever was next to me and going, "Oh my God, we've been arguing for an hour and 15 minutes how to make a ball go from here to there, like
Mm-hmm.
10 feet." I go, ain't golf grand. I go that would allegedly the brightest minds
Yeah.
in the world of golf instruction are in this room, um, uh, fighting tooth and nail on the best way to make a ball go 10 feet. I
Yeah.
love it.
Or farther.
Or further,
Yeah. Yeah.
or shorter.
No, I mean, I think it started with John, really, if you think about it.
Yes.
I mean, the first time, and I mean, we can go in a lot of different rabbit holes here, but the way we perceive technique in these particular shots in golf now, in my opinion, has changed a lot in the last 15 years. Right? Well, like we're talking about throwing the bounce at the ground and
Seekman.
how we're like trying to hit the ground before the ball, which I understand does happen on some shots. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying I put on my sort of Captain Logic hat the way I teach, and it's really the new. I wouldn't say it's new information, but I've really dug into a lot of the stuff that Joe's talking about, and James Ridyard's been a huge mentor to me as far as short game goes, and we have a lot of discussions, and I've learned so much from him. But in the low country, where I mean, we've got some of the grainiest approaches that you'll ever find, and
Right.
I mean, if you can chip it around our greens, you can chip it anywhere,
Right.
and you better be hitting the golf ball first before the ground, or you will suck.
Amen.
Okay? I can tell you that right now.
Amen.
And I can assure you, you're not hitting the golf. When you might hit the golf ball first with that backwards handle, but you're going to be hitting it over the green in the marsh. So you better have some forward shaft lean. You better understand center of mass versus center of pressure. You better understand how the pivot works, and you better understand how good players hit down reasonably a lot, and then don't take divots.
Yep.
How to get it out of the ground, right? So all that stuff I teach every day. I mean, to different level players, but a lot of guys are coming to me now just for short game stuff, just from what they see me doing on Instagram. But I mean, it's nothing that probably nobody out there already knows, but you might think they know, but they don't, right?
I was at the Rocket Mortgage, and I was talking to our buddy JG John Graham,
mm-hmm.
and I asked where Ridyard and his biceps were.
Yeah.
Because I had a feeling I might see the biceps or the pectorals before I saw him, right? So, holy shit, is he on the cream or the clear? I mean, geez Louise, like
he just trains like crazy. Like we stayed together at the PGA show last
like an
year,
animal.
and he was in the gym every week, every morning, and he was running. When I was running a lot. I was getting ready for a half marathon, and
I saw that. How did that go, by the way? Have you ever done that before?
Oh yeah, it's like probably my 10th.
Oh
yeah,
shit.
I've run 3 full marathons and probably 10 or 11 half marathons.
I run to the bathroom twice a night.
Yeah, it's nothing new. It's just I hadn't done it for a while, but that's a whole nother story. I've got some injuries and some knee issues I'm dealing with right now, so I'm a frustrated, depressed runner. But we can get into that later.
Sure.
But there's. I mean, when I teach short game now, it's like, if it's a pretty high level player, I'll always bring TrackMan out there because I want to show them what's happening. How are we delivering the club into the ball? And for the most part, most players are too shallow. From what I've seen, And when I say
I,
too shallow, I'm
I,
talking like guys are hitting chip shots at, hitting
you're
2 degrees
talking,
down.
yeah,
And
low
I'm
point, almost back, or
absolutely,
at, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah,
So, but I think, and this is for every, not just the coaches out there, but just I explain this to players is when we talk about steep and shallow, it's not just swing direction, shaft pitch, right? What controls the down part is handle location for the most
100,
part, right? It's
yeah,
like, if the handle moves backwards, then the low point's going to move backwards and you're going to be shallower. So you can come in with a very steep VSP, like a lot of our chops out there, and then dump your wrist angles, and then you can be shallow at the bottom, right? So there's kind of two ways to look at it, right? It's like if we're
and
so
also there's this a common habit that so tour players usually do too much of a good thing, right? We can agree on that. So a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with an elite level ball striker,
mhm,
right? If they're an elite level ball striker, trust me, that gets into their short game whether they want it to or not. Some
right,
of them actually still subscribe to the theory that it's just a small golf swing. I digress, right? But at
mhm,
the same time, a lot of them who are such geniuses with the leading edge get the hand super forward at impact, which will take their upper center and tilt it way back, which becomes its own issue too.
yeah, but it doesn't
So
have to though.
it doesn't have to.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
that doesn't create. I don't think the handle forward doesn't create the right bend. I think the right bend, because I this is me. This was me chipping, always coming up until I learned this stuff. Is I used to right bend and not know it because we're trying to get our pressure forward.
Right.
So if we don't understand that our center of mass and needs to be on top of our center of pressure when we're chipping, then you're going to right bend. So you better lean the shit out of the handle, or you're not going to hit the ball first,
Correct.
right? But you can still have forward shaft lean and get more forward if you teach that. Um, what I and this is just me again because you see how kind of like what Joe does. He
Yep.
likes to get his guys to go forward pretty early in the backswing,
Yep.
which is a way, and I think it's super effective. I'm just afraid, and this is by experience with some of my tour players, is I don't want that to creep into their full swing. Like I don't want to see their upper body start to go. It can easily get confused. And me and McGirt talk about this all the time because you're trying to get me to stay closed with my body in full swing, but you're trying to get me to open in the short game. I'm like, yeah. I mean, so from a player's, I mean, that can get confusing, right? From a feel standpoint. So I like to see them move or translate their upper center towards target in conjunction with transition. Does that make sense? So you guys
Yes.
can kind of see me in the video.
100%.
Yeah, as opposed to going super early, I stay, have them sort of stay centered or whatever, and then they move slightly towards target. So
A lot of
yeah,
people that translate that upper center as they swing the club back in the backstroke
hmm
actually still have a certain amount of backup through impact, so it doesn't solve the issue. So
yeah,
the issue with
it
that
can.
is it can,
hmm
but a lot of them that have this, like you said, center of pressure forward, but
hmm
upper center of mass moving backwards. The notion is, well, if I get them moving it that way as they swing it back, then everything will be okay. I have not
hmm
necessarily found that to be the miracle cure for all translators of upper center moving backwards, right? And this gets I go always back to one of my original mentors, Suddy. We've always talked about kind of lower body dominant players, upper body dominant players, and then obviously a combination of thereof. And you got
hmm
like Dr. David Wright, who talks about upper core, middle core, lower core, all that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
basically, if you're lower body dominant in your golf swing, probably that's going to kind of creep in there a little bit as you kind of slide the pelvis forward. The
hmm
funniest thing is the translation forward is not the issue. It's that the upper is not translating forward with the lower, basically seemingly
Right.
on top. And
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'd rather see that in transition as
Yeah.
opposed to this idea that I'll just cheat it and everything will be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So the difference, and this again, this is just how I explain the short game swing or whatever you want. I mean, I don't like to call pitching chipping. It's all stupid. It's language, right? It's
Yeah.
semantics.
Yeah.
It's just a wedge shot. Like you got low wedge shots, you got medium wedge shots, you got high wedge shots from whatever distance. I don't care. But I always say that the difference is in the sequencing, which I think is super important, which is something that James talks about all the time is the difference in full swing and short game is in full swing, there's clearly separation from the pelvis and the thorax. In short game, we want the pelvis and the thorax to stay pretty much together, right? So I always call that the first horse. So I always say it's a 4-horse race,
Yeah.
right? So your chest, rib cage, center of your body, and let's say your your belly button, upper center, lower center, are sort of the first horse. Your second horse is your lead arm. Third horse is your hands. Fourth horse is the club head, right? So they have to sort of work in that order in the downswing, which allows a lot of stuff that's really good to happen. Makes the ball come out slower. It allows you to push, turn, and stand up. All the stuff that helps us to get the club out of the ground and hit the ball, and on the bottom of the club.
Controls the radius and the low point.
The arc
Yeah.
height. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So controlling the arc height is super important. Controlling the low point is super important, and which allows good players tend to hit it closer to the bottom of the face, which gives us a little bit of vertical gearing that helps with that.
The interesting
math,
thing,
right?
and I've worked for a few different 3D companies and stuff throughout the years. As we've kind of moved on, it's been markers to markerless and all that kind of stuff. But the interesting thing is that the sequencing is actually very similar to a golf swing. Actually, exactly similar. It's the deceleration sequence that is not. It's more of this coasting action, like you're describing, and that coasting action deprives the club of speed, so that way you control how slow or fast, but in this case, slow, the ball comes off. So thus the player can make a swing. And I don't know how many amateurs are listening to this, but there's so many amateurs that cannot control the speed that the ball comes off the wedge.
Yeah,
which is why they feel like they can't make a swing in the first place.
Right. Well, and then they because they get everything backwards because they think less movement of the body. So the club accelerates way faster when that happens because now we're throwing energy out into the club sooner.
Yep.
And they can't control their arc rate anyway. So when they actually do hit one, good, because they're trying to hit down the wrong way, where the handle and the club's going down for too long, the ball runs up the face and it comes out too fast, right? So, I mean, we're looking at one of the big metrics I look at when I'm teaching short game is smash factor, and I want that smash factor, staying under 1.
Yep.
As much as possible. If it gets over 1, the ball's coming out a little bit hot. Which typically is either you're out of sequence or you're hitting it too close to the middle of the club face, which again is sounds crazy, but it's just reality of what these good golfers and good tour players are doing with the golf ball, which is phenomenal.
Which is why to case in point, why Mickelson wanted the grooves extended to the toe, right? Obviously, again, with that, and I know Ghetto a little bit, his coach, Andrew, but honestly, Andrew, to my knowledge, doesn't do a lot with Phil's short game. But at the same time, and I'm sworn to secrecy on stuff. So all you got, which basically means if I'm ever sworn to secrecy on stuff, just fill me with a bunch of wine. And then I'll tell you. I'm just not gonna.
That's what we're trying to do.
No, I'm not
drinking more. By the way, I think.
No, yeah,
way behind.
I'm not going to tell you on this, but I will say that you've seen this so many times. Some of the great short game players that you've been around taught is that there is that little. It's not the dime mark that Tiger has in his, Mizuno copy. Titleist or Nike irons when it comes to the highest lofted club. It's almost an ellipse or almost an oval that kind of works out towards the toe because that's when they're low. Exactly. Because that's when they're going to play with face angle, play with handle height, which I don't think's talked about enough.
100%. Yeah. I like the tighter the lie. I like to get the handle up.
Floyd.
At least get the bottom of the wedge flat. So, that heel doesn't drag. That's huge. And it also helps with the VSP, to kind of keep the vertical swing plane a little bit more upright. But I mean, if we know, going back to the original thing, Sinclair is the first one that talked about, he never said why at the time. He's just like, what I've noticed when I've tested, the greatest tour database in the world of all these major winners is anytime they launch it between 27 and 30, it seems to go the right distance. So like success leaves clues and breadcrumbs, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's figure out how to make that happen, right? So then we dig into the mechanics and all the stuff that we now know that's important. And these guys aren't chipping with gap wedges.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
because we're losing spin loft, right? It's like
Right.
that's the other question. Like, why don't you just do this with a pitching wedge? Because then you got to explain spin loft to them, and they go, it's not going to work. It's not going to be able to stop. Everybody wants to hit that low checker. I get it every day. It's like, teach me how to hit that one that stops real quick. I'm like, okay, here's the guts. Can we do it? Yeah.
Spent some time with Bender back in the day. And Zach Johnson's a little older than me. I think he's in between you and I, basically. He was at Drake. He's probably leaving college as I was getting into it. But anyways, down in Lake Mary, Florida, definitely spent some time down there. I believe he was the number one player on the nationwide tour, honestly, when I was around. And he had this is for the viewers and listeners out there. He had an undone piece of wire, almost like a coat hanger that you'd get at the dry cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
He would have electrical tape, so it didn't, and he put it in the drain hole of the grip, right? And then so that obviously would mean the handle would be forward. And then what they did, again, because I'm pretty positive that Mike, the last time I saw Bender, he was still using the same camera that I witnessed when I was 22 years old watching him, like shadowing him, right?
Yeah.
So anyways,
Casio.
Yeah, exactly.
They all have it.
Great camera.
Yeah,
right?
Great camera.
And so he's got the kind of point the grip at the hip with the wire. And what they did is they put a kind of a 10 feet, I'm guesstimating, 10 feet high, kind of like a clothesline about 10 feet away. And then Zach would just launch his wedges under that.
There you go.
And TrackMan existed, but not everybody had one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching this in 03, 04. And this guy is the number one player on the then nationwide tour. And I'm watching him just knock flag sticks out of the hole. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm not doing that. And I'm not telling people to do that. So this is interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I spent a little time. I was at the PGA. I think it was like Teacher of the Year thing that the PGA puts on every year. A few years back. It wasn't that long ago. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And Bender was one of our guys. We'd do like little stations, right? And I was just picking his brain about Zach, and I'm like, how much down do you think he hits? And he would play the ball way back.
Yeah.
And he would be, he said, yeah, his path was like 10 degrees in to out, and of course he'd get way up on top of it and then spin around and lean the crap out of it and hit it really low. It's not exactly the way we're teaching it now, but he was obviously really, really good at it. Like a lot of cut bias, draw bias. I used to be really draw bias with my guys, like with hitting these shots, but now I'm kind of getting more neutral to even little cutty if you need a little bit more down.
Ball comes off slower if the club face is open to the path.
Yeah. So it's like,
So I saw that.
Leo, man. It's like he's if anything, he's made us think about some things, right? It's like anytime I see something, I'm like, I've talked to Joe and we're friends, and just want to compare notes, like, hey, we're sort of teaching the same things, and I think we're very, very similar. But you just go back to the math, right? It's like if we had a 60-degree wedge, we're trying to launch it at 30. We're trying to deliver 45 degrees of dynamic loft into the ball. I mean, where are we getting those 15? We're not leaning it back here, right? So there's got to be some shaft lean. It's probably some friction stuff going on, and
yes.
But I mean, if you think about it that way, like it sort of makes more sense of how to do it.
The first time I ever saw it in person without measuring it, again, TrackMan very new, is one of the best things that when I was mentoring with Suddy is whoever he was teaching, every golf lesson always ends on the course. So then he would go, do you want to play with him? And I'm like, yeah. So it'd be like Paul Azinger, right?
Yeah.
So we're on the first hole of the Talon course at Twin Eagles. And I was pretty happy that I outdrove Paul, right? We just spent 4 hours and I was running TrackMan brand new and all that kind of stuff, the big one in the suitcase and all that. Yeah. And earlier in the day, he told me, TrackMan doesn't know how to drive the ball. He does. And then I said, judging by last week's driving statistics, I'd say you don't. But anyways, I was excited to hit up at my ball and outdrive Paul on the first hole. Well, anyways, didn't much matter because there was a short partial wedge in, and then Paul hits it, right? It is the lowest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, right? And it goes, honest to God, you want to hook me up to a lie detector test. I thought he bladed it. Honest to God, thought he bladed it.
Yeah.
And the damn thing hits just short, takes one hop and freezes next to the hole. Okay. So he looks at me and he goes, they should put a plaque near that divot. And I look down and I go, what divot? You didn't take one. And so I let a few holes go before I revealed how stupid I am. And then I go, Paul, that shot on one. I go, honestly, I thought you bladed it, man. And he goes, and we both had wedges in again. And that's why I'm talking to him. And he goes, you don't know what the hell you're doing with that thing, do you? And I go, well, Paul, I honestly paid for my college based on my ability to wedge it, chip it, and putt it. And he goes, without missing a beat, he goes, must have been a shitty college.
He was never one for mincing words, you know. Like
no, he's the best. He's the best. And then he said, and this has been said before, but he said to me, he goes, Jake, when you're playing darts, you don't throw it at the fucking ceiling, hoping to hit the board.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, good. All right, go show me how you did that, right? Mm-hmm. And then so I had spent all day running the new technology, quote unquote, of the Orange Box TrackMan with him, telling him what that was telling me. But then as the sun was setting, a la high school golf, he's telling me how to hit a wedge. And it was so fucking cool. That's awesome. But it reminded me of what I would hear about Trevino's burning wedge, right? And I was sitting there going, exactly. This is cool. And then, you know, and then finally we learn all this stuff, and I put my wedge on TrackMan, and I'm watching, right? And I'm freaking, I put my wedge on there and don't know any of these numbers yet because we were told TrackMan was for club fitting. Oh, 42 degrees. Woo!
Yeah, that's great.
Damn thing coming right back at me.
Lob shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And we're not saying that there's one shot, but like I always say, like let's build our short game off of a baseline shot. That's why I don't get guys hitting bumping runs on the ground anymore. It's like we simplify it by being able to hit sort of the same window, know how it's going to feel coming out, and it's just a matter of, you know, hitting your landing spots. And as soon as you kind of think of it that way, it just simplifies everything.
Yeah.
I don't got to worry about hitting four wedges am I going to figure out to hit here? I mean, you're going to maybe two, right? And then maybe chip one heel off the ground or something if you're off the edge or something crazy. But for the most part, you got one or two shots. You got a variation of releases, right? And it's not, you know, it's not that hard. And these guys are so talented. So once you show them how to do it, it's ridiculous how good
the people that hit one shot, one release, and change the club are ultimately limiting their ability to acquire skill. You know,
100%. Yeah. But I mean, I don't got any guys. I didn't say any guy. I maybe got one guy that's more than 10 down. But I'd say most of my guys are running in there about 6 to 9.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. 6 to 9 is kind of like McGirt's like a 7 or 8 guy.
Yep.
When
6
I first
to 8.
started with him,
I was going to say 6 to 8.
2 or 3 because he doesn't have a ton of shaft lean, but chips it really, really good now because he knows kind of what he's doing. But he always thought steep was bad, like coming up through, you know, the tour years ago. And he goes, as soon as I understand what you're telling me, and like this, he's like, I can't get steep enough. And it's never going to be more than probably 10.
Yeah.
On a rare occasion, but he kind of rolls in there about 7 or 8.
And everybody bases this off of not what they're measuring, but how the club interacts with the ground, which is a different discussion, 100%. Right? So the amateurs listening to this say steep is when they stick the club in the ground.
Right.
May or may not be the case.
No, usually they're too shallow. Usually they're dumping
Correct.
their wrist, or they're coming from the inside too much, or they're coming from the outside and dumping their wrist and backing the low point up.
Yep.
That's the problem.
You're
So
you're on the razor's edge when you're doing that,
yeah,
you know, to say the least. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. You want to move
I
on?
yeah,
Yeah. Anything
yeah,
else?
why not?
Yeah.
I've got a ton of notes about, like, so for those, there's Sideways on up
Yeah.
there, and ultimately we may not love golf, Jason, but we love movies,
Yes, we do.
and we named the show after this. And I got to talk. Well, there he is. Like, there's a great head of hair right there from Thomas Hayden Church, and
Yeah.
I like a guy with a great head of hair.
Yes,
So,
we do.
so do you remember the show Wings?
Yeah, I didn't watch it a ton. Like I know, but that's what made him. That was his apex mountain, basically.
Right.
Aside from maybe this one, but I mean, because it's interesting how his career mirrors the character he's playing in Sideways. 'Cause he
Yes.
was an actor, then he went and he just started doing commercials, just narration commercials and voiceovers, just like
Will Arnett.
yeah,
Yeah, Will Arnett from Arrested Development basically had a damn fine career just being the voice of, like, Ford truck, right?
yeah, exactly.
So Thomas Hayden Church, I'll be honest with you, was I didn't watch a ton of Wings, but was an idiot on that show.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the beauty of Sideways to me. All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to classify. What's your wine handicap? What do you think you are? Like, give me it. Be honest. No sandbagging here.
No, honestly, I'm no expert by any means. I'd say I'm a 5.
Have you seen the movie Psalm or Psalm 2?
Yes.
Fantastic. I learned so much just
Yeah.
from watching that.
Yeah, that makes me feel like a beginner when you watch something like that. That's what
Right.
I'm saying. Like
I'm an 18.
I know what experts look like, and I've met, and I talked to some other people, the Psalms from really top restaurants. No shot. I got nothing.
Yeah.
But I am like a +5 drinker. Okay. So, yeah, but I mean, as far as the knowledge of it, I got I got the basics, and I enjoy. Again, I'm fascinated with how they make it and the whole thing. But yeah, it's
so
make you feel really, really
I did
stupid.
go out to Napa,
Mhm.
and now it's kind of a regular thing. But I'm going to say this about Sideways, and I got a bunch of things that I took from Sideways and related it to golf, because
Perfect. Let's go through it.
Something that we talked about is that we're not 100% sure any movies really encapsulated golf, but there's been a lot of other great movies, River Runs Through It, stuff like that, which you could put golf in it and it would have been the same movie essentially. So,
Right.
Interesting thing about this. So yeah, I watched a little bit of Wings, not a lot. I was a Seinfeld guy, but
Yeah, me too.
So Thomas Hayden Church on Wings was a character named Lowell, and he was an idiot.
Mhm.
And actually, I didn't think one of the better characters on the damn show, right? And then Paul Giamatti was in, like, kids movies, always as, like, the bad guy. He was also Tiger Woods's head cover's voice. I hated Paul Giamatti.
Oh,
I didn't think he was any kind of. So when I saw Sideways, because I knew the director, right?
You want to take, like, for people that haven't
go.
seen the movie, do you want to sort of give them the overview of the story and, like, give them the narrative, and then we can go through different categories or whatever and scenes?
Perfect. And the funniest thing is what I realized when we talked about movies the last time we were on the pod, which is kind of what this became, was that kids, which means anyone younger than us, kids don't watch movies. No. So they heard the movies.
Watch movies.
None of them. They watch fucking TikTok or YouTube Shorts. They don't watch movies. So I had a lot of young coaches after the pod with you going, I popped in. Well, no one's popping in. They pull up or stream. Yeah. They stream searching for Bobby Fischer and shit like that, which will definitely be a movie we do.
Yeah.
All right.
Legends of the Fall.
Legends of the Fall. Right.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah.
So synopsis. Sideways.
Yeah.
God, it's such a beautiful movie. It actually is one of my favorites, and I totally get if somebody younger than us, because I'm still young,
Yeah.
That it's too slow for the first 45 minutes.
The first hour is not the best, but it does pick up after that.
So Paul Giamatti essentially is he's a loser. All right.
Yeah.
So he lives in an apartment. He steals from his mother. He is depressed. He is an alcoholic. But it's masked in this beautiful knowledge that he has about the alcohol that he is drinking, right?
Yeah.
And then the funniest thing is his buddy, who seems to have it more together than him, just like the movie Swingers, actually doesn't have it that much together.
No.
So, anyways, Giamatti is Miles,
Right.
and Thomas Hayden Church, which is one of the great characters ever, is
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
And Jack is getting married. So his best friend Miles is going.
They were college roommates.
College roommates.
Yeah.
And they're going to go to wine country. So one has one expectation of what this, it's like a bachelor party, but not really. It's like this bachelor getaway. Like one Miles or Giamatti has one expectation of what that's going to be.
Yeah. He's going to.
And Thomas Hayden Church has a completely other expectation of what's going to be. Miles thinks he's going to be drinking all this wonderful wine in this wonderful country, which does happen.
Yep.
And Jack's there for the fucking. Okay. Yeah. So he's there to sell his wild oats before he says I do. So he's cruising, right?
Yeah.
He's looking around for, what he can stick and move. So anyways, the beauty of this is, one, they are two opposite people, and yet you totally buy that they're best friends. You totally get it. You get actually why they need each other. Jack's an out-of-work actor, and Miles is an out-of-work writer who's always saying he's going to be published, but isn't.
Yeah, he's written a novel that during the movie doesn't, like, he hears a couple times from his agent or his publisher that it doesn't happen, but him and Jack are both Jack's telling everybody that he's a published author to make him sound better. But you can kind of tell that they hadn't seen each other in a while, right? Because when it all goes sideways with, no pun intended, with Miles' his new love interest, Maya, then she's like, he was just my roommate in college. It's like, I'm not Jack, right? Because he's like completely the opposite, just trying to sleep with every girl that he finds, in Napa, which is not a lot. Sandro's a diamond in the rough in that area, right? But Virginia Madsen was fantastic in this, though. I'm trying to think who she.
What do you think of Virginia Madsen? What do you think about her?
I thought she was. I mean, for that time, this movie is 2004, so it was It was
young people, don't Google it now. Google Virginia back in 2004.
I mean, I think she was very attractive. I mean,
hell yeah, she was,
right. Yeah. But she found her sort of mate there with.
Are you buying that she would ever go for Giamatti?
Not in real life. No, not at that time. Like he was.
You better have been published.
They just made him out right. They just made him out to. I mean, he's the guy's wearing pleated pants and he just looks dumpy. I mean, we got to talk about how bad the golf scenes were, right?
Oh, that's the best.
I mean, come on, Giamatti. Like, can you take a few lessons before we shoot this movie? Like, I mean, guy couldn't even make contact. I mean, Thomas Hayden Church wasn't much better. I mean, he hit it 3 miles, to the right on his first tee shot. But there was some kind of funny moments when the guys hit into him and he goes nuts and like
so because you're saying
the carts.
Most of the notes that I made are actually about the golf scene, and this is why I can't.
It's not
stand
the most
golf
rewatchable scene, but it's like it's so funny because it's like, are you kidding me? Like,
all right,
what are these guys doing?
I'm just gonna fire them out at you. Miles seems like a guy who would be late to his tee time. That's the first thing that I wrote.
Oh yeah.
And that's actually not from the golf scene. It's from the beginning of the movie where he took forever to get it because he's hungover. Oh, right?
I love it. Yeah. He's like, I'm coming. I'm right there. Like he wasn't even out of bed yet, and he's supposed to pick him up.
Miles and Jack remind me of Trent and Mikey from Swingers, which I told you about.
Yep.
Get your bones smooched is something I'm going to be saying more.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I think you referenced the joint. Get your joint. Get your joint
Yes.
right or something. Yeah. There's a lot of yeah.
Your crank.
Your crank. That's what it was. Not joint. Yeah. Get your crank. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
So here's I wrote down the swing advice
Yeah,
from
here we
the
go.
scene.
Here we go.
Sit back in your heels
Oh.
and turn through your abdomen.
Yeah, but it's all the funniest part is like he's standing like right on top of him, right? And he's talking as he's getting ready to hit, and in like during his swing, and he's like, "Would you just shut up? Just shut up." He's like, "Why? Why are you so tense?" And like he's literally he's like the dad telling his son like what to do as he's pulling the trigger, but he was standing right on top of him. I mean,
It's
so
completely
funny.
like it literally. This reminded me of every driving range I've ever been
Yeah.
on. It's literally is the blind leading the naked, right? So
Yeah.
his next piece of advice. So okay, so we have
Yeah.
sit
Go through
back
the
in the
swing
heels.
tips.
Yeah, here's the swing tips from the movie Sideways.
Yeah.
Sit back in the heels, turn through the abdomen. Next piece of advice: don't come over the top.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yes. Don't do it.
Stay still.
Yeah.
It's all about silence and inner quiet.
Oh my god.
And then the last thing I have to put, all right?
Yeah.
And I will ask you, and then I will tell you, have you ever been in a group? Obviously, you've been in a group that got hit into. Have you ever been in a group where someone hit back at the group behind you?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's happened for me.
Yeah. I don't think I've definitely been hit into before, but I don't think I've ever had anybody hit back at. And here's the funny thing is like that's the best swing he made the whole movie. Like he flushes it, like he kind of thins it, but like hits it right at the guy's cart.
So
Nothing
Jason,
like the first golf swing that he made.
Jason, you're telling me no one, you or anyone you've ever played with, has ever returned fire.
No, I don't think so.
All
I
right,
don't remember it. Yeah, if it was like when I was like a kid, like a junior golfer or something. I don't remember ever.
Okay, so this happened during COVID, and
Okay.
I almost got taken out. I have a large head. I mean, like I can, it's a good target. But
Yeah.
and many have tried. Many men wish death upon me, as 50 Cent said. So it happened again, probably the second time, maybe the third time. I don't recall. We play a lot of drinking games when we play. So in the middle of the 18th fairway, I had it. I'm over my ball in the fairway, and the ball hopped short of me and then went over me. So I was in like, so it's like, all right, like that. So I'm playing with the GM of the golf course, and I can't say the GM or the golf course because they're both still there. But anyone that knows me knows who it is and where I was. So the GM is pissed, right? I'm just sitting there going, "Hey, thank God that didn't get buried in my, cranium." So,
Yeah.
he takes it, he tees it up, he turns back at them, and he fires it. And by God, it was the best shot he hit all day. That fucking thing went right at their golf carts.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember in Sideways where Jack, he runs
he
at him like
running
that?
at him. He's swinging his club around. Yeah, yelling like a madman.
So
till they turn
I'm
around.
not sure. We'll call this person Mike.
Okay.
I'm not sure this Mike ever saw the movie Sideways, but he pulled up his sleeves like this and started coming and told them. So they got in their carts, right? And they're driving,
sure.
and he's telling them, and he's running towards the cart path, telling them to come. And these guys go right past him. So he's running after them. It is like the T-1000 in the movie Terminator 2. Like he's jumping and trying to like hold on and trying to get it. They go straight to the parking lot. Mike, by the way, Mike kind of rolls off like the T-1000 off the golf cart. Again, Mike. That may or may not be his name.
Sure.
But anyways, it's just another white guy anyways. But they go straight to the parking lot, and they screech out of the parking lot
Wow.
as he's still like, running after him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it worked.
This was during COVID, so I can see why so many people took up golf during COVID. I mean, if I would have saw that, I'd think that looks pretty fucking
Oh, yeah.
fun. Yeah. So that
That's
is
hilarious.
100%. Those that were there know that is 100% of true
Oh my
frickin'
gosh.
story. I was in awe. Like if they would have got out of the cart, now I am involved. I have to support my friend.
Mhm.
But the
What were
other
you gonna
thing
do?
is,
I can see you in
well,
a
I was
fight.
so Jason, okay. You can't just be a lover and not a fighter, because as
Okay.
Keanu Reeves says, you have to fight for your love. So
Mhm.
I actually hit a kid with a 9-iron in a high school match.
Oh.
He was a former football player, and basically he was bending the rules to his whim. And I told him, he goes, well, I go, dude, you can't drop there. I go, you got to go back there where it went in. And he goes, no, you can drop it here. I go, you know what? I go, I'm I'm killing you. So drop it wherever the hell you like. I don't care.
Yeah.
He goes, that's it. And I hear him dun, 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 coming. Like, he throws his club down. He's this former football player who I guess decided, like, he had broken something, so he couldn't play football
You
that
gotta
year.
play
So he
golf,
was on
yeah.
to play golf, right?
Mhm.
So I hear him behind me. Dun, 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 dun. Thank God. I mean, he's a huge guy, and
Mhm.
I'm not a huge guy. And thank God he threw his club down, because I sure as shit wasn't going to.
Where'd you hit him
Right? I kept swinging until he stopped moving. So like I just kept going like this.
at? Oh my
and
God, dude.
and then he's like this. He got hit in the back, hit in the back, hit in the back. Long story short, I'm fine.
That's good.
We were both suspended X amount of days and stuff like that, which is good, because ultimately he didn't really get a shot in. And then we were it was like on the last hole, and it happened in
I
front
mean,
of the
you're
coaches.
kind of quick. They're kind of scrappy.
I am.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm like a,
Like a
I'm like
ninja.
a, no. Ninjas are
You're probably
stealthy.
not. You're not quite enough.
I was
You're not
thinking
like a
more
ninja.
like a koala, or like a or like
Meerkat.
a meerkat. Like, so everyone thinks a meerkat is this small, cute little thing from Lion King.
No, they're mean.
They're fucking mean, right? So
Mhm,
they
mhm.
look small and cute
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
me,
you're a meerkat.
but I'm
That's your new
fucking
nickname.
mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll scratch your goddamn eyes out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like a meerkat, like picking a fight with a meerkat with a 9-iron. So like Jack Nicholson when he beat the shit out of that car, or I don't know, Elin Woods. Yeah.
So what's like some of your favorite scenes? If we go to most rewatchable scenes
So
besides the golf.
yeah,
It
well,
wouldn't be
yeah.
the most rewatchable scene. It's just funny, right? It's just like it's so bad.
So you know, and you're perfect here, because the overwhelming sentiment I got from watching this again, that I think the point of the whole movie is, like, if we just described every scene to somebody, they'd say that's depressing as hell. I think it's the finding of the comedy in the mundane,
Yeah.
right? In the daily life, in the drag, in the disappointments, in the what you have built up in your mind, and ultimately what actually comes to be. And there's something, I guess the comedy in this is so visceral, right? Oh my God,
Yeah.
Jason.
So where are we
Giamatti
at?
goes in to get his wallet back,
Oh gosh, yeah.
Jack's wallet back,
Okay.
and
So you get to say a big fat naked guy.
and a big fat naked girl, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and you see
because they're
you
like
see
talking.
you see
They're
pretty good crank on this guy too. Like, speaking of cranks,
yeah, long off the
this
tee,
dude,
likes to play one foot in the rough.
Yeah.
So yeah,
This guy's name's MC Gainey, by the way. I've got the IMDb up right here. Big crank on Gainey.
I was gonna say I wouldn't have been surprised if you said you didn't even have to Google it. You just know all big cranks in movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like The Color of Night with Bruce Willis. You just know any movie that has a big crank.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
anyways, like
Yeah.
where she's like they as a couple get off on her going home with men and all this kind of
Yeah, yeah.
stuff.
This
I
is after
mean,
Jack picks up the waitress at Denny's or wherever they're
exactly.
on their way out, and he's got it. His face is all beat up because he got beat crap by Sandra Oh with
I
a with
to
a
me
helmet.
this is one of the funniest scenes.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
other one is when, because you asked my favorite scenes, it's
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
going to be the funniest. This is one.
yeah.
Oops, sorry.
There. Oh yeah. Whoop.
Oh, there it is.
X-rated.
It's
Oh my
perfect.
god. Oh jeez.
Nothing to see here. Oh,
Oh, I'm gonna
there you
get
go.
banned from YouTube on this one.
All right. So, my other favorite scene is when they're trying to crash the car, right?
Yeah.
And they put the
That's
brick on there, and it
the brick on.
misses,
Yeah.
it misses the tree completely.
Oh, the dumbest. It's like one of those scenes where they should just left it out, right? It's just like that was so
Right.
stupid. Oh my god.
That makes me laugh every day. Not the initial, like where they crash into the tree together and put their seatbelts
Yeah.
on. It's like, boy, that barely made a dent. So then they try to do it with cinder block, and then they miss the tree.
Oh,
And then the thing goes into someone else's yard.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so good.
Crazy. Yeah. So I mean, like, I think, in all seriousness, like the best, one of the best scenes, probably the best scenes when Miles is talking to Maya on the porch, right? So they're talking about wine. It's when they really connect, right? It's like, he's trying to set him up. Jack,
He talks about how a Pinot grape has to be treated,
exactly,
and how it's a special grape,
yeah.
but it's
you gotta Google that. Yeah, Google that scene where she asks him like, what is it about Pinot that you like? And it's just an unbelievable dialogue. And then he flips it on her and says, "What got you into wine?" And then she talks about her ex-husband having a big cellar, and then how she just loves the point of the, like, she loves to think about the year the wine was conceived, what was happening that day, what was the weather like. I mean, it's just a beautiful scene. Now here it wasn't even written like that in the book. It's a little bit different in the book, but yeah, and then
well, remember, at this point before that scene, I'm thinking Paul Giamatti's the guy from Nickelodeon, right? And I'm like, right, exactly. Like, how did he get this role?
He's a blue
and
guy,
everything?
in Big Fat Liar.
Exactly. And after this movie, I became an enormous fan of both.
Oh my
And
God.
I think in 2024, I think Paul Giamatti is one of our finest actors.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Billions, obviously, probably maybe his apex mountain, but he just won
Chuck Rhodes.
Just won an Academy Award for, what was the last one he just did? It was really cool.
He had a glass eye. Yeah, the glass eye in the last one. Nick Cage.
No. The I'm looking at it now. Let me see. The Holdovers. Have you seen The Holdovers?
I have not.
Oh, you got to watch it. Yeah, he's a school teacher that gets stuck doing summer school with like a group of kids, and he just won an Academy Award for it.
I think
this is last year. This is a new one.
Okay.
So good.
I literally think this movie shaped both of these actors' career, where they were like, again, Hayden Church is thought of as this idiot character from TV, with no depth, and then Giamatti is this children's actor, this joke, and then we could I love him in Cinderella Man. I think he's, and you said Billions. So Koppelman and Levine, right, who are basically the guys responsible for the movie Rounders, them and John Dahl. They are such brilliant writers that even if you don't get the joke, you might want to Google it real quick to get the joke, because their sensibilities and their sense of humor is just so freaking outstanding. Billions is one of my favorite shows of all time.
So have you heard? I mean, you probably did you listen to the rewatchables that they did Sideways?
Oh yeah,
I re-listened to it the other day when we were preparing for the show, and the casting what ifs. You'll love this one for Jack Pitt. A little young probably at that time, but he was And also,
He could have done it.
yeah, yeah,
Pick
oh, he
Pick
definitely
could
could have
have
done it.
Pick could have done
Yeah,
it.
yeah. He would probably would have been too good looking, but
That's yeah. You have to
yeah,
you have to be pseudo good looking.
yeah. But
So
that
I'm
was
out.
I thought that was an interesting one. Yeah, but yeah, I thought he was good because he just made. I mean, I just like the first time I saw it, I just like hated Jack's character. I was just like, this guy's just disgusting. Like, what are you doing?
Okay,
Right?
good. Is this one of those movies that you actually didn't like the first time you saw it,
Yeah,
or how about not? I'm sure you liked it. Is this a movie you grew to love?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I
This
don't
wasn't
think I
love at
liked
first
it.
sight.
Yeah, because I wasn't into wine at that point. I probably didn't get into wine until probably like 2008, 2009 when I met Gary Vaynerchuk. And then started getting, like I felt like I was getting cultured or something. I'm like, oh yeah, drink wine, and then I sort of started getting really interested in it. But yeah, I think if because it's a wine movie, but it's not really. It's a comedy, is what it won Best Picture, I think, for that.
It's like a dramedy, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's almost
Yeah.
like you don't really think of it a lot as it's funny, but it's like you think of it more it's almost like a documentary, and even the way it's shot, right, with all the
Yes.
different montages and the different I don't know what you call that when they put the different pictures up, kind of a collage style, some of the things that they do. But I mean, the scenery is unbelievable. I think it's shot like a 70s movie.
Eh,
It looks really old, which I think is super cool.
The first time I saw this movie, I was staying in a hotel in 2006. So it came out in '04. I did not see
Yeah,
it in the theater, obviously. I think I saw it on
I
like
didn't either.
HBO in a hotel
Hmm.
because I was in Carmel by the sea. So I was in
Nice.
Carmel, which is the most beautiful place on earth. And I saw this movie and I saw these. And the reason I did it was because I was with my friend and he goes, well, you should drink some wine. And I'm like, dude, I go, I mean, I go, I'll drink anything. I mean, but
Yeah,
I go, I'm just a beer guy, man.
yeah,
I don't need anything like that. So the funniest thing is they crack this bottle of wine there, and it's literally like sex in my mouth. So I'm sitting there going, and I get just very very happy very quickly, and I'm just like, I can't believe that this is, I mean, if it's 2006 and I graduated college in '03, I mean, it's not that far removed from Natty Light
yeah,
or Cobra
yeah,
40s duct
yeah.
taped to my
Mil-
hands for
Milwaukee's
Edward
Best Light.
40's night. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the sophistication of my palate at that point.
Well, that was the same. Yeah, with me when I get introduced myself to wine, it's like you buy. At that point I couldn't afford anything, so I'm buying shitty wine that's like super sweet, or you're like you're drinking Chardonnay, you're drinking white wine or whatever. And it's just like so nasty. You're like, this is no good, And then you find somebody that I can't even remember the first person that like actually gave me a nice bottle of wine. I'm like, okay, this is different, right? It's just like somebody somebody just gave you like a perimeter weighted club that can actually hit out the middle of the club face, and you're like, wow, okay, that's what golf's all about. This is yeah. So it was like, oh wow, this is different. So then you start exploring a little better quality of wine. You hopefully start making a little bit more money. You can afford better bottles. But I mean,
I
then
usually
my life
tell
has changed. It's just like okay.
it's kind of like getting fit for golf clubs for the first time. I always compare that to heroin. You're going to always
Yeah.
chase that initial high, but never quite achieve it,
So I'm such a snob now. It's like, I mean, I'll drink. I mean, there's some good $20 bottles, but I mean, like this was. I'll show everybody. I don't know if you can see that. Like Vivino, and I've talked about this on the pod before. That's a 4.4
Yeah.
rating. So I won't drink anything if I can help it under a 3.8. Like 4.0 is really good, and that was this one, the one I'm drinking
Beautiful.
right now. Yeah, that's the Pinot. Just for the, I don't drink a ton of Pinot. Like it's a good wine to drink in the summer because it's a little bit lighter
Right.
than Cabs. But I was like, oh wow, I just scanned it and I'm like, okay. But
Ha-
you
ha-
can just go right in the store and just scan it, and it'll tell you all about the wine, and it'll give you the rating. And
Have you noticed
Really
if you drink the red, you get a red recovery? Have you noticed that?
good. No. Oh
Did,
yeah, 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 yeah. For your whoop.
yeah,
Oh yeah, for
100%.
sure. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, that's.
At
Yeah,
the last top 100
that's a
summit,
staple.
at the
Are you going this year? Are you going? I already. I signed
last
up
top
actually.
100 summit,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Hmm.
Just pull out. I by the way, oh, here's an interesting thing. I was going to say my whoop. I screenshot that and sent it to our buddy James Hong, and he wanted to know how I was still alive. So he goes, I'm pretty sure that I'm getting a text from a dead man. But Cabot Citrus Farms, right? The old World Woods. I used to work at World Woods just out of college. So in
Yep.
Brooksville, Florida, Highway 19, there is a Sonny's Barbecue. Okay. There's a Sonic, and then there's a strip club.
Okay.
And then there's a Sonny's Barbecue. And then there's a Sonic, and then there's a strip club.
Okay.
So
But is there a
I
hitching post?
there should be a hitching post, right? Because as you know, you weren't going to find anybody your age in your early 20s in Florida, right? Unless
Yeah.
unless you went to the Sunnies. Anyways, but just so they're going to stuff all the top 100 mines in Brooksville, Florida, and everyone's going to realize that you're going to have to drive at least 45 minutes to an hour to get to Tampa to do something fun. So
boy.
it's.
We'll be stuck in the hotel then.
Yeah, I'm sure the Kaiser. I'm sure it's amazing. It already was a top 100 golf course. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm sure it's amazing.
Yeah.
But in terms of anything around Brooksville,
Okay.
it's a bunch of trailer parks and manatees.
Good to know.
Yeah, which I love manatees.
Yeah.
It's a gentle sea cow.
So I had these are just random topics, right? We can cover
Yep.
like books that we've read or listened to in the last couple years. 'Cause I've been getting into some audiobooks. Back to the movie theme, like best shows we've streamed. Could be another one. Because I think we've exhausted the Sideways movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think, right? We covered it.
Yeah.
Enough for people to say, I'm never watching that movie again, or they're going to like
You
run
can't
out
make
and,
it past the
see
first
if they
40
can-
minutes.
Yeah, pay Amazon Prime, $19 to watch it. But so let's start with the streaming. Like, what have you been into the last year or so? It's really good. I've got a bunch because I'm kind of a freak.
That's a good question. Probably the thing that I've really, really enjoyed is Winning Time, the dynasty or the rise of the Lakers dynasty.
Yeah.
John C. Riley is a gift. But you also have Adrian Brody. You also have Jason Clark on that show.
Mm-hmm.
You also have guys that were perfectly casted to be Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You also have some big old black titties. I mean, you got like it's just and you want to talk about how it's shot and how it's grainy and feels like in the 70s. And then it's Adam McKay, who is typically like a producer on a lot of Will Ferrell movies, or his name escapes me, the director that does like Knocked Up, This Is 40, all that stuff. But anyways, he tends to be the producer on that too. It has his sense of humor in it, hence why John C. Riley is in it, who is amazing in it. So I would say my favorite thing that I've enjoyed, one, because I love I love the sports aspect. Two, I wouldn't say I'm a huge NBA fan, but I would say that is the peak, the zenith of the NBA basketball when you're talking about Larry and Magic. And I'm saying that as a guy from Chicago who should say Michael Jordan, but I'm telling you, Larry and Magic, I think was it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'll go next. The Bear. Have you seen The Bear yet?
I've heard so much about The Bear, and
dude.
it's on the list. I have not seen it.
Oh, definitely. That's probably, if not the best show that I've seen in the last year. Just the most well written. Jeremy Allen White is the star. He's been in a ton of stuff, but I mean, it's about I think it maybe Chicago. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
based in Chicago.
that's what I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
All
about,
my buddies are trying to get me to watch
It's
it.
about he's like a.
It's on the
he's-
list.
It's a great family sort of dynamic, crazy, just intense. Like it's all like shot very close up in the kitchen and like in the restaurant. It's just insane. But here's my new favorite. That just finished the fourth season. A show called Slow Horses. Have you heard of that yet?
No.
It's a British CIA like series that's unbelievable. Gary Oldman is the star. You know Gary Oldman.
Oh, one of the best actors out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know Kristen Scott Remus, Jack Loudon's kind of a new guy. It's awesome. You gotta check that out. Yeah, it just finished. I think it was third season or fourth season just finished up. So good. Have you seen Industry? Have you watched that yet? Oh my god, it's kind of like Euphoria versus.
My superpowers only lend itself to movies, Jason. I will say this: I will only watch one show at a time. So when people, I make note, I have a list in my phone. I'm like, okay, maybe this is the next one, but I only focus on one show at a time. Because if I'm watching TV, which is not all the time, I'm usually watching F1. I'm watching, it depends on the season, hockey, football, all that. By the way, when are we going to talk about the trade the Carolina Panthers made with the Bears? Like, we should have a whole show just on that.
Never.
No. Okay. All right. See,
I don't want to talk about the Panthers.
I've known you a long time, and
Yeah,
it seems like a sensitive subject that you guys drafted a midget. A little person. You drafted a little person.
I know.
I like the Red Rifle.
And you said it. I do too.
I did.
I like him a lot now.
You know what, Jason? Thank you. I did say that. I did say
that. We talked on draft night.
Yeah.
I was like, I love him. I love what he did in college, and now these.
And I said I can't draft a guy that size.
Still love the kid. I just don't know what's happened. So, anyways.
Moving on. When he was when he was like high-fiving his team after he got benched, I thought he looked like a kid lost at the mall.
Jeez. It's just bad. Yeah.
But I can focus on one streaming show at a time, so that's why I don't have a lot.
Take one at a time, man.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of my wife and I's like sort of thing we do like at night before that last hour, a couple hours. Like
we were watching Bad Monkey. Have you seen Bad Monkey?
That's on my list. Yeah, I just finished it. Unbelievable.
I haven't finished it. Hilarious though.
And then my new all-time favorite actor, Scott Glenn. You know who Scott Glenn is?
Absolutely.
Yeah. He plays his dad. Like he was in Urban Cowboy.
He was also in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. He's been in Hunt for October. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. So you need to go, and this is for listeners, for you, go and listen to the interview that he did with Tim Ferriss. And the guy's 74, 75 years old now.
Yeah.
And talking about just this guy, his daily routine, and just, I mean, it's such a great interview. I've listened to it like 3 times. And it just goes through his career and story. But like talking about a guy that just gets after it, we can cover some like daily habits, fitness stuff that we're doing, or lack of what I'm doing right now as far as what I want to be doing.
No, Jason, you're drinking tequila and it's showing.
Yeah. Well, it's way less beer and wine and a little more tequila and
so I've got a
clean drinking.
I've got a tapper right back there.
Flecha Azul. I'll give a shout out to Marky Mark.
There we go. I got a double tap right back there, and I just finished. So now it's time for Benny's to go in there, and I get quarter kegs under here, and I'll get 2 of them, and it's fun.
I've got to come visit you, dude.
Please. You're more than welcome. And I'm popular in my cul-de-sac, obviously, because of this. So I go into Benny's, and I always want to try something that I haven't had down here. So the last thing that we just finished last week was the zombie ice. Have you ever had zombie dust? Mm-mm. Okay, so it's actually an Indiana thing, but it's up here in Chicago. It's called Zombie Dust by 3 Floyds. It's an IPA. but they did something called zombie ice. And I'm like, what's zombie ice? And they go, it's zombie dust with more alcohol in it. And I
Oh
go,
boy.
that
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll have that.
11%. It's like a double trip. We have a couple triple IPAs down here that are pretty unbelievable.
The
Drink
urinal's
two and you're
right
done for the
over
week.
there.
Yeah.
And I've seen people with the tall boy zombie ice, and they get out of the stool finally, and they go, "Whoa!"
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. You'll lose your footing.
Yep.
Real quick. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So no more. You're not a good stream guy, dude. I thought I'd get a few more out of you. All right, let's
Well,
go to books if you don't have that.
I did finish Billions. I did finish
Yeah.
Ozark, which I'm way
There you
late
go.
on that, but
Yeah.
and honestly,
So good.
I was in from the start. I just never finished it. I finished Ray Donovan, though that was hard because I think it kind of lost, jumped the shark a little bit. And then, golly, we already talked to Allie and I watched Suits during. So I never saw Suits live. I only saw it like on Prime.
Me too. Yeah. I got into it and finished. Like it's got like dang 13 seasons.
Yeah,
took forever, but yeah, I finished that a while back. That was good.
Harvey Specter is definitely my spirit animal.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's an asshole you cheer for.
The story is good.
Yeah.
Mayor of Kingstown's another one.
I've heard good things. I have not seen
good.
that.
Yeah, that's Jeremy Renner. That's awesome. You'd love it. And that's all I wrote down for those. That's like my top 5. And there's a few more, but we won't go into.
Have you seen Tulsa?
Oh yeah, we're watching that too.
Tulsa King.
Yeah, Tulsa King. Yeah. Sly. I do. Yeah. Stallone's great.
I like Stallone, dude, man.
He's timeless, man. He is absolutely timeless. Yeah, it's such a good role for him.
When it came out of so back in the day, it was this debate: you were an Arnold guy or you're a Stallone guy, and then for a second there, it was actually Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme. But we're gonna put them a peg down or two. So Stallone or Arnold, right? And the funniest thing is, as a kid, I would have told you Arnold. But in retrospect, Stallone's actually the guy that was more original, more brilliant, writing all these movies, directing all these movies.
People didn't realize, the Rocky movies were, love them or hate them. I thought they were just, they're
oh, I love them.
You're going to watch it every time it comes on. Rocky 3, Rocky 4, you're going to watch it.
Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 are my favorite Rockies.
Yeah.
I love the male embrace scene on the beach with Carl Weathers.
Yeah, and the short shorts, the high socks.
And what they called them bobby shirts back then, remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not wearing one, but and then the entire movie of Rocky 4 is essentially 98% of it's a montage.
Yeah. Unbelievable montages.
Love Rocky 3, love Rocky 4.
Running up the hill, the gym scenes.
I think Rocky 1 and Rocky 2,
Drago,
despite being like really good movies, I think again we get into that where a lot of kids are like, it's too slow for them. It's like, oh my god.
And just the more you watch it now, it's like at the time you're like, oh, that was great, the fighting
amazing
scenes, and then now you look at him like, oh, that looks so fake.
Yeah,
right? But it set everything up.
Did you like the Creed movies or no?
I didn't mind them. Yeah,
I liked them.
I just now watched the last. Just probably in the last 6 months, watched the last. What is it, 2 and 3 or
3? With that was the first one Stallone wasn't in.
Right. Yeah.
I did think it. Okay. I did think it missed him in the third one, but at the same time, I'm not going to tell you that was a bad movie. Like I enjoyed it. Great. I thought the original Creed movie was actually excellent.
Yeah, the fight scenes were very well done.
Do you feel the same way I do about Rocky 5?
Probably. Was that the what's his name? What's the
Tommy Gunn?
Tommy Gunn, yeah. Yeah, I did not like it.
So
bad.
I mean, Stallone even said that was a cash grab. So the funniest thing is, like,
yo, Tommy, man, it's like you're like a son to me. Like, it's just like it was just
pretty good.
It was bad, It was just like. And he just, I didn't like the script.
So
Rocky looks so bad.
So I've always compared this movie to Caddyshack 2, and I was sitting there. a few years ago, probably during COVID, where I'm rewatching all these movies I love. I'm rewatching all the Rocky movies,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting there in Five's, it's on the Apple TV and it's looking at me, and I'm like, oh God. And I'm like, all right. I will say this about Rocky Five. You know how at the beginning of every Rocky movie, it's actually showing you again the end of the other
Mhm.
Rocky,
Yeah.
the movie that preceded it.
Yep.
And then it shows him after the Drago fight in the locker room, basically calling his wife Mick. And I was sitting there going, wow,
I
this is
remember that.
pretty. No,
Yeah.
no one thinks of it because I'm like, wow, this is
That's weird.
pretty good. I go, maybe I've just tried to be a little too, like my theories
Yeah.
on Nickelback. I go, maybe I've judged this movie too harshly. And then I watch a little bit more and it's total shit. But
Mhm.
if you watch any of Rocky 5, just watch the literally opening credits and where it kind of shows how badly Drago beat the shit out of him because
Yeah.
he calls his wife Mick, who died in the third one,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
There's the
So
trainer. Yeah.
other than that, it just gets awful. But a good 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's not something you want to go back to. Definitely. Like even Rocky Balboa was better than that.
Oh,
At least had some decent speeches, when he's trying to
yes.
talk to his kid.
That's a great speech. It's one of the
Great.
best speeches. Shoot, you're putting me on
Yeah, I remember it, but it's just kind of
it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one.
Losers do that, and
Good
that ain't
laugh.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep getting up. Keep getting
Yeah.
up, kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
man.
he said he did Rocky 6 just because how bad Rocky 5 was. And you know
Didn't go
what?
out like
Even
that.
if it all would have ended there, it'd have been fine. But these Creed movies are
Yeah.
really good.
There's a great documentary that he does. I don't know where it was. I found it. I don't know. I don't know if it's Netflix or maybe like Hulu or something. But it has him doing this commentary where he's going back and watching all the old Rocky films and talking about what he would have done differently as a director, and it's
Yeah.
really, really fascinating. And he was just kind of talking through each scene and whatever, and like I get into that stuff. I know you would too. It's just like I want to know what's happening behind the scenes. What the director was thinking. What were they trying to do? So
This
you always wonder about the drinking in movies. Like, do they really drink? They didn't drink at the beginning of Sideways until the very end, until everybody started getting sick on the grape juice and the stuff that they were feeding them, and they finally started actually drinking real wine. I always wondered that.
this begs the question, and again, I never thought we'd get to it in episode 1, but who would win, Jason, in a fight? Rocky Balboa or John J. Rambo?
Oof. Depends on like how much what are we talking about MMA where you can use weapons? Then I would say Rambo. But if it's just a boxing match, then it's going to be Rocky.
How
Like, I
about
get to use
no
a
what?
crossbow.
How about no? Wait, he took out a helicopter with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, yeah.
So, all right, here's your stipulation. They are not boxing, but there are no weapons.
Okay. What's the environment? There's like it's like if we're in the woods or like we're in the wild, then it's not even close. Because we're talking about a Navy SEAL versus a kid from Brooklyn,
Right.
or whatever. So it's I don't know. I think Rambo's a badass, man. I mean, that's so that like I love me some Rambo.
How the correct answer is John J. Rambo,
Yeah.
and I will. You remember again, Rambo 3, not so good, but you remember the stick fighting at the beginning of Rambo 3, pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It just all went to hell in a handbasket when he had like a kid sidekick in the Iraqi desert. That rarely ever works. So anywho, the correct answer is John J. Rambo, and I will stick fight anyone that says differently. But
Absolutely.
I love me some John J. Rambo. And talking, so the funniest thing is Rambo 3 is not as bad as Rocky 5, but it's not good, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
First Blood and First Blood Part, 2, those were better. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, Rambo 4, which is just called Rambo, in Burma, is everything a growing boy needs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know I've seen it. That's just like trying to work
It's
out which one it
it's
was.
awesome. So
Yeah,
the fifth one is Last Blood. That was whatever.
yeah,
But the fourth Rambo, I will tell you, it's blasphemy because of First Blood. I love First Blood.
yeah, yeah.
I can't put anything in front of. I mean, Brian Dennehy's. I can't put anything in front of First Blood.
Right.
But Rambo is unbelievable. And it's an hour and 30 minutes. I have this theory that my favorite movies are actually longer but feel shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But most movies should just be an hour and 30 minutes.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
You have
yeah,
20 minutes out of most movies.
100%. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, Rambo it has no nutritional value. It's pure sugar, baby. Like what you want. It's right there, and it doesn't waste your time. Right?
Yeah.
Rambo 4 is a sure thing. You don't even have to be smooth or give it a pickup line. It's gonna put out. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So all I have on my list was book ideas, and then sort of life slash habits slash hacks
Okay.
that I've been doing. So what do you want to do first?
Uh, please
Here.
go. Yeah, with it. So books. The book that I read the most recently is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Okay. Who wrote that? Can't remember.
It's
I think
Mark. Mark. Is it Rawson, Robson, something like that? I should
Mhm.
know that, but it's Mark something. But
Okay.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah. It's good. Do you read it or listen to it?
That one I listened to.
Yeah.
The last book that I read, because I still read, is one of my clients who takes golf swing lessons from me is Dr. Raymond Pryor, and it's Golf Beneath the Surface,
Okay.
which is fantastic as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten into the audiobooks, just time savers now, right? It's like, it's either podcast or it's audiobooks. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. You're traveling or just I got a 35 minute commute to work. You can get a lot done. I just finished Steve Jobs,
Cool.
the one by Walter Isaacson. He's done a bunch of different books on different famous people, but it's 25 hours. Unreal how long the thing was. But it went through, it's amazing how just the lineage that we forget about, like when the iPhone was developed or the iPad or, the Macintosh, which is, way back before my time.
I finished earlier in the year Can't Hurt Me, which
There you
was
go.
definitely the equivalent of about 20 hours.
Yeah. Goggins.
Yeah, Goggins,
Oh,
who
the
is a badass.
The
Like
best.
that guy's so fucking cool.
Unbelievable. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was, I read that one. Shoe Dog. Have you read Shoe
Yeah.
Dog?
Yeah, I read
Phil
Shoe
Knight.
I read Shoe Dog when that first came out.
Yeah,
My
that's
college
behind the
roommate
times,
Hess. Yeah. By the way, love the movie Air. Right?
Oh,
Did you see
so
that?
good. Absolutely.
Oh,
Saw it
so
in the
they
movie,
still
in the
can
theater.
make movies like that.
Yeah, saw it in the
Yeah.
theater. And yeah, it was cool because this sort of highlighted a little bit of that movie.
Yeah. The Shoe Dog.
Rainmaker by Hughes Norton. Have you read that one yet? You would like that. Or listen to it. It's Hughes Norton was the agent for Tiger Woods for many, many years, and he was a IMG, it's like top agent for Mark McCormick. And it's fascinating because it's like, Mark McCormick's passed away.
Yeah.
So I guess he felt like he could now tell. I mean, he tells every detail about every contract that he did back to even like Greg Norman and
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Th-
One of my
that that
members
I
actually put me onto that one. I thought I really enjoyed it.
So you said Rainmaker. I was thinking of the Grisham book, which one I
No,
read, and then
yeah,
two
yeah,
saw the movie
love the
with
movie.
Damon
Hmm.
DeVito, um, Claire Danes,
Oh yeah,
and
love it.
Tommy Lee Jones. Right? Was it?
Uh,
No, no,
no,
no, no. Who's the
John
lead
Voight.
attorney? John
John Voight.
Voight.
Yep,
John Voight.
yep,
Yes. Yes.
really good. I'll give you a couple more. I got too many. I'm not going to go through all of them. But
Good.
the monk who sold his Ferrari. You read that one?
No, but I've heard about it. It's
Yeah,
on
you
my
need to read
list.
that one. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good one. Kind of personal development. And then I read Breathe by Ricks and Gracie. You go back to the MMA days, the Gracie family.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting read. And then Excellent Advice for Living by Kevin Kelly. It's really easy, super easy. It's basically like a bunch of almost like, tweets.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of like quotes and stuff, which is really cool. So that's kind of my top ones. There's a bunch more, but a bunch of running stuff that I did when I was actually able to run. But that'll get a lot of people started on some cool stuff. Yeah. So what have you been doing? Just like daily habits, anything new fitness wise? Like what's kind of your routine to stay healthy?
I think it's unhealthy to be healthy all the time, but at the same time, my rituals include I'm a Peloton junkie. So I've been, but I've been on that since COVID. The funniest
Yeah.
thing is I wish I would have just bought stock and then sold it. But
Well, are you team Kendall? Are you sad that she left? I was team Kendall. You can give me one of your who's your favorite instructor?
no, you just said it. I mean,
Yeah.
Kendall right there. You ever seen the movie Hall Pass?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife
Just
goes, yeah, she's like, she didn't even have that good look in a face. And I'm like, I haven't made it there yet. So yeah, no, she's good. Olivia Amato too.
Yep.
Though she's a little mousy. Like
Yeah, I agree.
like I want to just mute her and watch her.
Yeah.
But when she talks
You
about
need
little mousy
her with
and
like
Jess King.
with Kendall's like attitude and like
Yeah.
her energy, like like if you molded both of those together, it'd be perfect.
Yes. You know what, Jason? Actually, now that I think about it, having those two women together would be kind of perfect.
Oh man!
And then I've been doing this other thing. I've been posting it. This is a good leading question. You're an excellent host, as usual. I've been doing this thing called Axios Core that I met through. His name's Brian Doyle. He was on the American rugby team. He's a badass dude. He's huge. And I met him through Brian Finnerty, who was it was the CEO of V1, who's a great friend. And I started doing this stuff, and it was all these exercises. I mean, their whole motto is that we're going to make your vegetables taste good, right? So you're doing these exercises that you probably would hate. Like I like lifting weights. That's fun for me. But not all the weights that I lift would be necessarily beneficial to the quality of my life going forward, right? Gotcha. It's literally maybe to look better in my medium. So basically this Axios Core is this little kind of this roller kind of thing, and it kind of grades you. So you point your phone at you and you have a virtual coach.
Oh, wow.
So shout out. So I get and it's all TPI trained individuals. So I get feedback based on my workout. I get measured based on my stability in a percentage. And then that's what you see me posting. And then we're doing, it's a golf academy portion. And then I'll be shooting some stuff with them in the near future as it relates to that. But I have to tell you that the funniest thing is when I travel, I don't bring the unit with me. You could still do a lot of the exercises without the unit, but I don't. And then I get home and it becomes excessively difficult. Like this is, I'm sure for some people, I'm sure for Ridyard, it's easy. This is very difficult for me, and yet very necessary for me because I feel good. Axios Core.
When do you do it? Like, is you have like a certain time or?
Oh yeah, when I wake up.
Like
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I can't work out in the afternoon. I refuse.
Mhm.
I won't do it. It's done. It's passed. I've made the decision. You screwed up,
Yeah.
right? You know how Wahlberg has 4 a.m. club. I ain't getting up at 4 a.m., but I'll do 6 a.m.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Love it.
What about you? No more
Yeah.
running.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's limited. Yeah. It's like, it's so bizarre. Like I got, again, I've been doing it for 20 years. So it's, it's not anything new, but you kind of go through lulls where you get lazy or you do some other stuff, and started lifting over COVID. We were in lockdown. I had a gym in my house. I had
I
no TV.
remember.
It was easy, right? And I couldn't run because my knee was hurting. But like in the last couple of years, it got better. I don't know if it's the right amount of Advil or whatever, but like it felt good, and I'm like, okay, I think if most people heard the pod I did with Jason Bellotti at the beginning of the year, it was in like January. We're talking about New Year's resolutions, and I'm like, I'm getting back in shape, and I already probably were in 4 or 5 weeks of marathon training at that point. That's when I was running with Ridyard a little bit. When I didn't run with him, but I mean, we were both running. So that was going great. And I did a half marathon, but I felt like I was sort of just on the way back to like where I wanted to be. And I'd lost some weight, feeling really good. And
You
maybe a
kept
month.
sending me shirtless pictures.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
all the time.
flexing. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was getting leaner and feeling pretty good. And for whatever reason, it could be happenstance. I went and actually got a massage after that, and the girl said, can I like not stretch you, but like sometimes they'll just move your legs a certain way or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't think about it. I'm like, yeah, but whatever. And she kind of took my leg or my knee and just went like back and forth. And I'm like, not that I heard anything pop. I was like, okay, that didn't feel great. Should have like not let them do that. But anyway, ever since then, like I started having some knee pain, like in the back of my knee. It was really strange,
Yeah.
and which is not normal. It wasn't like runner's knee or something you'll get in the front of your knees, but in the back of my knee, it was. I remember I was at one of Nick's golf tournaments in Houston, and it was like GCOH is not easy to walk. It's like a 10-mile walk or whatever, which should have been no problem. I just finished a half marathon, but after about 18 holes, is like started getting really, really stiff. And I'm like, man, something's not right. So ever since then, it just hasn't been the same. So I would like rest it, ice it or whatever. I'd run or in spurts or whatever. And then finally, my wife's like, I'm going to make a doctor's appointment for you to check it out. So I went to the doctor. They took x-rays, and the guy's like, yeah, you just, you're losing some cartilage, just, old AF basically or whatever. But I was just like, how did I just run a half marathon and felt great like 3 months ago? Like, what's changed? You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make any sense. So fast forward, now I'm sort of coming to grips a little bit with I can run like 1 or 2 miles on a treadmill or whatever, just kind of take it easy. I just caddied for my son at pre-qualifying at Corn Ferry 2 weeks ago.
How did that go?
But it was like, I mean, it hurt so bad. Like after about 18 holes, I mean, it was the worst. Down in Greenville, Alabama, and it was like I'm talking going up and down ski slopes, and it was 8.5 miles of just up and down. I was a billy goat. It went fine. He got through pretty easy. But anyway, so I'm still moving fine. It's just like it stiffens up. So now I've just started lifting.
At your age, Jason,
stuff.
you should be happy anytime something stiffens up.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, so like fast forward, so I'm like, I've tried all this stuff. So you've seen the TikTok like pain patches,
Yes.
those green things. I've got those. I'm sticking them on my knees, but I mean they don't stick. They won't like. Anybody out there that buy these pain patches? I shaved my knee to like get the thing to stick. I can't get it to stay on my damn knee, so I'm not buying. I mean, they might work if I can get them to stay. They don't look like the people in the videos.
You got a hairy knee, do you?
Yeah.
Do you have a hairy knee?
On my legs? Yeah, I got hair.
Do you?
I got hair on my legs.
On your knees specifically.
So then, oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
I'm actually curious. Like I know I have hair on my. Like how much hair I.
Yeah.
Was this a part of like your normal? So this was a part of your normal manscaping ritual, like in that you're like.
It was just like I was just trying anything
because. Oh, so you don't shave that? You just shave your knee?
Yeah, just my knee. but
Yeah.
it was yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. And then one of the members said, "Go get. I got this Mexican gel that I got from the Mexican grocery store. That it's like not FDA approved, right? It's for
Yeah.
inflammation. It's pretty amazing. So I was slopping that on me like every morning before I was looping, and it was good. Like it took like the pain is a lot way better, but it's still kind of unstable. So, anyways, I'm just gonna rest it now. I'm doing a pretty rigorous sort of body weight lifting routine 3 or 4 days a week or whatever, and doing a Peloton, which doesn't hurt at all
I'm
for the
I'm
knee.
I'm trying to listen, but I
Yeah.
I just keep going back to you shaving your knee.
So it's all like when you get wait you're not far
and
behind me. They
and
give you about
and
5 years and the
and not
inflammation.
your and not your coin purse.
No. Oh,
That's
we go downtown.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. We don't rock the defro no more.
Well, I was just
I can't believe I just said it on my podcast. You're
you're
a
a
bad
little
influence on me, dude. You're gonna have to
you're a
cut that
little
out.
older. You're a
You're gonna have
little
to cut
older than
that
me.
out.
I was
Yeah,
just seeing what's
whatever.
going on.
Whatever. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, so here's a couple more things that I'm doing. So we've heard me talk about meditation a lot on the
Yes.
podcast because there's so many people that. So I've finally sort of gone in, like I've been so inconsistent with it, but I've been very consistent with it probably in the last 3 months, like probably
Okay.
75, 80%. And I can tell you, like it's kind of weird because it's like, do you really know, is it helping? And I use the Sam Harris app, the Waking Up app, the
Yep.
one that
Scott Fawcett's
Scott
very
Fawcett
huge on.
talks about. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
Who,
good. So it's
who
kind of
the listeners may not know. I mean, you,
yeah,
me, like how about this group, by the way?
yeah. Go
It's
ahead.
Sasha McKenzie, Scott Fawcett, the golf guru, and and frickin' the Woodridge Junior Open champion of 1996,
Playing the
right?
cradle. The
Playing the
pioneers.
cradle together.
Yeah,
And you and I knew well enough to just get them talking and then shut up,
yeah.
you know?
It was fascinating. And then the
Yeah.
dinner we had with Sasha that night was priceless as well.
Which
Yeah.
we can't show any of the
No,
videos on that.
no,
Yeah.
no. It was good. So yeah, so doing the meditation, but I can tell you, I can definitely tell a difference because one of my big goals right now is just like because I get so, as we both like get going both directions with, not being present, especially like whether it's in a golf lesson or just having a conversation with somebody, right? And I don't know if my wife has like noticed it, but like I feel like I'm more present. I can focus for longer periods of time because of the meditation. I'm able to sort of quiet my mind a lot better based on the work that I've been doing.
Is this transcendental or is
I
this
think it's
just
it's guided
yeah,
meditation. I think it would
yeah,
be classified as transcendental. But
yeah.
yeah, he's just talking to you. It's like there's different ones, and he's got some different programs. But I mean, it's 10
You,
minutes a day. It's like if I did it today, like I had a 30-minute gap in my lesson time, and I just went into the corner of my building and just did it. That was funny. One of the members actually walked in on me, and he poked me. He goes, "I'm just making sure you're still alive." And he's, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you had earbuds in your ears." I was like, "Yeah, it's cool, man. I was just just having a little quiet time." But yeah, I just like anytime I can sort of get 20 minutes or so, I just kind of go into that state. And the last thing I've been messing with, I'm curious to hear your take on this. I got an ice bath. Have you done ice plunges?
so I have not regularly, and
I'm trying to get more
you
regular
know
now.
my teaching partner, Dr. Jeremy Smith, is
Mm-hmm.
so the funniest thing is I send him. Well, he probably wouldn't appreciate me saying this, but he sends me golf babes, which I've never liked. And I mean that. I'm not being like, hey, we're 2 hours in, okay? I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm not trying to be cheeky or cool.
Yeah.
I don't like golf babes, okay? I just remember what the babes in college looked like who played golf, and they didn't look like that. So, he sends that, but I'll always send him stuff, and then it's triggering stuff, right? And he's like, "Oh, that's bullshit." He goes, "There's no science there. There's no medical there, and all that stuff." So I sent him ice baths. Tony Robbins does this. Mark Wahlberg does this. You always say wherever he is, or dumping the ice in. All this stuff. Too many people. And inflammation, all this stuff. And I'm sitting there going, gosh, I don't even know if I can do this. But And I don't know if it's worthwhile. So I sent this to Jeremy, and Jeremy is a hater. He just is.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's a hater
Wow.
of everything. No, no, no,
There's a
no,
lot
no,
of
no,
research
no,
saying how
no,
it's
no,
really good.
no,
And,
no,
like
no.
for your moods.
So
like
he's a
working
hater.
out.
He's a hater of everything.
Oh, okay.
So I was expecting, and he actually says no. There's a lot of research about it, and he
Ah,
thinks it's fantastic.
okay.
And I'm like shit.
Dude,
Now
I'm all in. I've got to get
so
a
you're doing.
chiller.
How often are you doing this?
Yeah, well, I've taken a little break. I mean, now we finally, like the last 2 days, we finally got
Is
some
you-
cool days here. Like there's been
It-
chilly in the morning.
Is your
But-
is your shaved knee a little bit colder than the rest of you?
Yeah, for sure. A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got to get a chiller because I can't keep, like I've got the ice pods. Like I've just got the cheap, I can't remember the company. I think it's just called Ice Pod or whatever. I mean, there's a few
I
different
saw.
versions.
Yeah. I've seen this.
Yeah, I put it on my TikTok, but it's only $100. It's cheap, but then they get you with like you get the chiller. It's like $600, right? So I'm hadn't pulled the trigger on the chiller yet. I've just got the pod, so I just got all these bricks that I'm freezing, dumping as much ice as I can into it. Because when it was hot in the summer, it was tough to get it cold enough. So I haven't officially got it like cold as I want to get it, but I think that's now that it's cooling down. I should be able to get it colder, but I'd say I was doing it probably 3 or 4 times a week.
And are you measuring that with like a thermometer or by how?
There's a thermometer you can put in the ice tub.
Or how far your balls retreat up into your.
You got a timer and you got a thermometer. And you won't stay in there that long. I mean, it's
because
like 3 or 4 minutes.
Listen, I'm all for this like feeling better stuff, but if anybody sees me get out of that, right, I'm not going to be feeling better about myself as a man. Okay,
you got trunks on, bro. You don't get in there naked.
All right. Well, I was thinking that you had to get in there naked. I was no. Okay.
My thing's out on my back porch. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna scare the neighbors. No, it's right on my back porch. It's like I'll start doing it a lot more. Again, now, especially since I'm lifting, doing a lot of more upper body stuff.
Yeah.
There's research that's at like one of my friends here on the.
Can you imagine your neighbors? By the way, it's like
hey,
they're sitting there going, "Oh my God!
Yeah,
one of his knees is shaved."
Yeah, right. Oh man. So yeah,
it's like glistening back at me, Harold.
So I need to. Yeah, basically I need to throw like a tub of Mexican gel in there and then just take a bath and then
Mexican gel.
Yeah, this is the stuff. Yeah, it's for
Mexican gel.
I should have brought it. I was going to show a picture. One of my members put me onto it. We were talking about my knee, and he goes, "It's like forget those patches. Like go get this gel. Like it's the Mexicans can basically put together these little products that aren't FDA approved." So you get it at the Mexican grocery store
that are not.
If anybody curious, just like message me and I'll tell you what it is. It was only like $10, $11. It used to be my member goes, "How much you pay for it?" I go, $11. I thought it was a pretty good deal. He goes, "When I first started using it, it was like $3. So it's obviously gotten more popular. It works. I'm telling you, it takes whatever's in there. Cause he said he took it to a doctor and the doctor said, "Yeah, this is good stuff. Like this will definitely take the inflammation out."
There's no way that the name of it is Mexican gel.
No. That's not the name of it. It's I can't even pronounce the name of it. It's Spanish.
Yeah, I was gonna say this sounds like a Borders issue or something.
I'm not even gonna attempt. I'm not even gonna attempt to like.
It's in Spanish. It's in a different language.
Here you go. I'll pull it up on my phone.
Does it get hot? Does it get cold? Is this like Shaquille O'Neal's?
It's kind of like almost like a Vicks salve. There you go. There it is.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can translate that. I'll give you.
The Y means and. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what it looks like right there for all the viewers, not the listeners.
Yeah.
Starts with arnica, con, and then I'm not going to say the rest of it.
Con means with.
Yeah. I put it into my Assist AI, and they told me what it was, and it was like, yeah, this is an anti-inflammatory, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, Senora Cornwell. Senora Cornwell, I am using my Spanish right now. By the way, she was hot. Yeah. back in the day. Did you ever have a teacher in like high school that like I had Miss Howell, who was
Yeah.
my 8 a.m. Health teacher.
Yeah.
So and she was just out of college, and I am a sophomore in high school, and I've never been more awake for an 8 a.m. class in my life than when Miss Howell was telling me about the reproductive organs.
Yeah, mine was Miss Odell. She was an algebra teacher.
Listen, Jason, I'm very happy. Okay, I want you to know that I'm a happy guy. I sound like a happy guy to you, right?
You're a happy guy.
But I may or may not have looked on Facebook on what her married name might now be.
All right, you need to calm down.
That's what she said at 8 a.m.
Listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's what she said at 8 a.m.
Uh-huh.
You need to calm down.
Exactly. All right, what else you got? Anything else before we wrap?
No, we get that. No, it's audio books is now the new books, and I kind of give my kids shit about not turning pages, but I'm doing the same thing because I'm always on the move. Yeah. I find audio books better than most podcasts, not this one, but anything like that is, and that's where my money goes. My money.
That was my other thing, was just like recommending other podcasts, right? It's like what other podcast you want to give a shout to?
So my favorite podcast out there is the Rewatchables. I'm such a movie guy, and I love that they love the. So you and I said this before. Okay, so if you're talking about the greatest movies of all time, you probably got to say The Godfather and The Godfather 2, and all. These are great movies. I love these movies, but I actually think your favorite movie is one that you've seen 100 times, and it might be Tango and Cash. All right, so I love a podcast
Roadhouse.
The Roadhouse. I love a podcast that takes an hour and 30 minutes, which is the length of that damn movie, to dissect all dialogue, all scenes, all. So, no, Rewatchables is by far my favorite podcast. I don't miss an episode. Never.
Did you listen to the live one they just did? Silence of the Lambs? They just put it out.
So, Silence of the Lambs is a phenomenal movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
the live ones are great. Like they do in front of a live audience is pretty awesome.
Well, someday we'll do that, Jason.
Yeah. This is the first of many, hopefully.
We'll have you show your knee to everybody, and to prove that you weren't lying about, manscaping and what have you. But so here's the thing. But before it, because people are like, all right, Rewatchables. All right. Yeah. So Silence of the Lambs is an Academy Award winning movie. Okay. Over the Top is not, okay? But they will give it the fervor and the focus that the movie Cobra truly needs, okay? And I almost love it when they do those movies even more than the Oscar award-winning excellent movies that they also do. And they're remotely Simmons and Chris Ryan are not. They're obsessed with the movie.
Amazing.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
they love the movie Heat. Well, okay, so Fantasy,
Heat's the number one.
Well, in Heat, I can't give a number one, but Heat's on there. So the funniest thing was when I first watched the Rewatchables, as they're doing, whatever. I thought Sean Fennessy was a snob, and I'm like, why is this? Like, he's like Debbie Down. Like, why is he bringing me down? Get this guy off the show. Yeah. So now I've listened to 300 of them, or however many they've done.
He's so knowledgeable.
I find Sean Fennessy to be I get disappointed if he's not doing it, right? Regardless of his opinion of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, if I love it and he hates it, I now actually respect it. And I love his insight about this director or that actor or where they were or where they were coming from. He's awesome. But I hated him. I thought he was a prick at the beginning. I love Simmons and I love Ryan. And they're always talking
Mallory
about
Rubin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love
The
who
Mother
is
of
that?
Dragons.
Who's that? The Brandt guy that he'll have on there every now and again.
Oh, Kyle Brandt.
Kyle Brandt, who's
Yeah,
from
so good.
shout out from Chicago, big
Yep.
Bears fan and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yep.
When you put him on and you're doing blood sport, I'm fucking in. You know,
I mean, here we are giving them all this love. Like, they don't need any more. Like, they're just blowing. I mean, they're just got to be killing it.
I think so.
I'll listen to the watch occasionally that CR
Yes.
does. Just to listen, like he does a lot of covers some of the streaming shows. But
did you see on TikTok the movie Bloodsport, but done as a Mentos commercial where they're chasing him around on the boats? Mentos fresh, he's like that. As and by the way, that's Forrest Whitaker, an Academy Award-winning actor who's chasing Jean-Claude around and stuff like that. Frank Dukes, undefeated.
Still love it. Yep.
Frank Dukes was the name of all of our intramural teams in college, and everybody goes, "Yeah, dead serious." Frank Dukes, and they go, "Who is Frank Dukes?" Well, one, we already don't like that person, and two, we were like,
"How do you not know?"
We were like, "Well, he was never beaten."
Yeah.
So let that
Kumite.
sink in.
Yeah, undefeated in Kumite.
Yeah. By the way, do you think, are you like me? Do you think the movie Kickboxer is actually just a sequel to Bloodsport, and that's how it should be treated, even though it's not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because by the way, Kickboxer's awesome when he dips his hands into the glass and everything.
Tong Po. Tong Po.
Yeah.
The guy fights. I mean, I love that one.
Yeah.
And he's kicking the trees, he's breaking he's breaking his freaking tibia against the tree.
And they're stretching him so he can do his splits and stuff like that.
I think that's a fantastic movie. That's another, I've watched it every time it's on, for sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool, brother. Well, you know what? Man. We should do this more often. Maybe not like once a year, maybe once a month.
That was the plan, right? So I think we'll see what the feedback is on this. Everybody kind of give me some feedback, man. We got a lot of fans out there, but they're not very vocal, right? I want to know what you want to hear. And that's why, and I sent the tweet out about, getting some questions. It'd be cool to maybe even do like a live version.
Yeah.
Where we start fielding some questions on everything. Golf. We gave some nuggets. We gave some nuggets with some golf stuff tonight. It wasn't just movies and wine
and Steve Moore asked too many questions about my hair anyways.
Yeah. So
I saw that on Twitter.
Steve's my boy.
2 words.
Shamrocks and Shanks. Go check that out. His new podcast he's been doing for a couple years.
All right, 2 more words. Sea salt.
Sea salt?
There you go, Steve Moore.
Okay.
Sea salt. There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Cool, man.
That's not everything. That's just the beginning of it.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave anything else for the listeners? Everybody should know. I will definitely, put your handles and whatnot out on the intro. But Jake Thurm Golf.
Yeah, I mean,
find it.
Please, whatever. Communicate feedback, whatever you want to hear. We're going to be doing a movie every time we do this. Right. So if there's movies you guys would like to hear, otherwise it's okay. We'll pick it. Yeah, it's fine. You know. We got
a few.
Yeah,
so, you're the man.
All right, brother. Yeah, I love you too. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Cheers.